A tree rooted in the mystery, rooted like a tree, roots down deep, rooted like a tree, rooted in the mystery. Everything will change, nothing stays the same, and through it all my roots shall remain. Everything will change, nothing stays the same, and through it all my roots shall remain. Rooted like a tree, roots down deep, rooted like a tree, rooted in the mystery, rooted like a tree, roots down deep, rooted like a tree, rooted in the mystery. Everything will change, nothing stays the same, and through it all my roots shall remain. Everything will change, nothing stays the same, and through it all my roots shall remain. Rooted like a tree, roots down deep, rooted like a tree, rooted in the mystery. Rooted like a tree, roots down deep, rooted like a tree, rooted in the mystery. Everything will change, nothing stays the same, and through it all my roots shall remain. Everything will change, nothing stays the same, and through it all my roots shall remain. Rooted like a tree, roots down deep, rooted like a tree, rooted in the mystery. Rooted like a tree, roots down deep, rooted like a tree, rooted in the mystery. Everything will change, nothing stays the same, and through it all my roots shall remain. Everything will change, nothing stays the same, and through it all my roots shall remain. Everything shall
Yoko nephew.
Hiyoko, peace, greetings to everyone who has joined the platform today, all watchers and all future watchers. I pray that you are having a wonderful day, and I thank you twice for tuning in. On our panel today, we have Auntie. Auntie is at the rodeo right now, so she won't be tuning in, but she'll be there making sure everything runs right on their side, on the Southeastern Talking Stick. We have Uncle Pa in here as he's always a regular guest, but we have a special guest today. And our special guest today is Mr. Vincent Barrows. Amazing work, amazing researcher, has a detailed history. He's definitely been doing this for more than 20 years, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but he worked at Cahokia between 2003 and 2009. And at one time, he sat on the board of directors. He's here to tell parts of his story and also educate us all on what's known as the Pisgah culture. From me to you, the Pisgah culture is a phase, and it's a beginning phase of what we all know as the Mississippian or the Yama era as taught here. And we got a lot to learn. So, Mr. Vince, the floor is yours. I yield the floor. It's all on you.
Well, thank you for having me, and much appreciation for this opportunity to talk about the Pisgah culture and meet with everybody. And I hope that we can share and learn together on this interesting topic. Really appreciate the opportunity again. And so with that, I'll go ahead and start presenting by sharing my screen. Or okay, let's go through it on this slideshow here. So the Pisgah culture is up on the screen. What we're going to talk about is these sculptures that were found in Garden Creek site, Mount Pisgah, North Carolina. So this is a site in Western North Carolina. And we'll look at the comparison of the totem or the clan symbols and how they compare with the Anishinaabe clan symbols, as well as the symbols from the Gwale, the Yuchi, and the Creek. And hopefully you'll see that there's a interesting correlation between these carvings, sculptures, and the figurines that were found in North Carolina. So we'll talk about this description is kind of the contents of the report, the etymology, the clan totems, and social order, kinship. These are kinship symbols. And so they were important in ancient times, from the time of the Great Flood all the way up to historic and even today. So what we did is looked at the sculptures and compared them with the figurines, and the clan symbols correlate to the sculptures. So there's sculptures mostly are from this mound. There were mostly bear sculptures. There were also bird and duck sculptures, wolves, bison, turtles, aquatic animals. There was all kinds of figurines that were made out of steatite, and also some from pottery. There were fired pottery. There were jaguar or lynx, as well as spider, daddy long leg sculptures. There are snake sculptures, as well as alligators, thunderbirds, and also horse sculptures, humans riding horses, and a lot of other interesting things. The human sculptures were numerous as well. You can see most of the human sculptures were kneeling or sitting, and some of them were holding hands, apparently signs of kinship. And so this is a tradition that spans the tribes, all from the Anishinaabe, from the northern Canada, all the way to Central America even. And these were important to the social organization of the tribe. And the clan symbols were important because they were showing the totems of the tribe. And so what we'll see is these were divided into groups, and I'll show examples of the actual figurines. This is a lot to cover because there were literally 2,500 figurines found in this mound in North Carolina, and they correlate really clearly with the clan symbols. So we'll start out with the Hoofed subdivision of clans. There were symbols that correlate to moose, elk, and deer. And you can see these are the actual pictures from the museum, the Valentine Museum. And so these show the deer and elk symbols, and some of them are horn. They had horn figures, or there were also symbols like bison. There were quite a few bison in the collection. The bison every one of the symbols, as you may notice, were engraved on all sides, and they were crosshatched with, this is kind of a zigzag lightning pattern. Others have careful crosshatching that was throughout the surfaces of the stones. And apparently these stones were in a fire at one point because they have surfaces covered with soot, and they even had the smell of fire. So as we go through this, you'll see a lot of these appear to be burnt from a fire. And so these were excavated in 1879 to 1880. And Ben Valentine excavated them along with a group of local residents that lived in North Carolina at the Mount Pisgah site. There were rhinoceros figurines in this collection.
We're definitely going to have a conversation about that. Pardon me. This is just to add on. As spooky as it may seem, I'll just put it in question. What happens if we find out that the ancestor of the rhinoceros migrated from southeastern United States? How amazing would that be? That would mean that these people had a form of knowledge that many don't think they could have had. So this is interesting, especially this rhino, because I speak about this in the book. Okay.
Right, thank you. That's quite interesting, and most people associate this white rhino because the tail is curved up and over its back, and that's one of the traits I guess the white rhino would exhibit if it was nervous or anxious. I read that the white rhino would do this and would curl its tail up as a sign of being nervous. And so, I mean, this is really unusual if it is, in fact, from, white rhino living in North Carolina. It would be the only example of that I know of. And there's other carvings here. You can see this one, it has a lengthened body and long, and it looks like a single antler on its face, kind of like a rhinoceros. Could be a bison. A lot of times the natives would depict movement by elongating the torso like this. So this is maybe a symbol of movement. And as we go through, you'll see more of this. I showed this big bowl. This is about over a foot in diameter. It has this zigzag lightning pattern on it. There's other figurines that show the bison, and even some like this that look like the bull, or a bull on a square block that's crisscrossed with cross hatching on it. And then the next division is the little paws division. There were things like the marten or mink that was apparently eating something on the figurine, depicted with a curved back, like it had been eagerly devouring this. And there's so many of these figurines. There's porcupines as well. And like this one in particular, the porcupine is depicted with quills both horizontally and vertically, these zigzag patterns representing porcupine quills. There were rabbit figurines as well.
Oh, wow.
And we know those are clans. These are all clan symbols. So this was taken as an example to show that these clan symbols match the figurines for the rabbit clan. And now the mink clan, there were a lot of mink and even wolf or fox. And there were skunk figurines as well. The skunk figurine shown here apparently is drawn with the tail up, and then another one here that could be a squirrel or a skunk, but it has this very interesting pattern on its back. And this is the squirrel figurine correlating to the squirrel clan. So there's all kinds of these figurines. Like I said, there's 2,500 of these originally found. All of them were made from either steatite or pottery. And then this group is the fish and a marine animal group. There were many depictions of fish in the group, and there were snapping turtles, snakes as well that were found here in North Carolina, and alligators. There were multiple depictions of alligators on these figurines. And as you can see, snakes as well. There was many snake figurines. And some of them were like pentagon shape, and this one apparently has a snake being held up in the air. And then there were others that had figurines of serpent or snakes on one side of the tablet, or these are stelae or stella shaped figurines, and each one has this cross hatching covering it on both sides. They're usually tabular. And then you see here's another example of a serpent or snake figurine on one side, and this one had a bear resting on the top of it or carved into the top of it.
So that's what we're looking at in the background.
Right. This has a bear on the top of on top of this one. And then this next one it has the almost zigzagging serpentine pattern on the edges of the stone that were crisscrossing, almost like a pharmaceutical symbol. There were frog effigies as well, covered in this crisscrossing pattern. And that's a symbol of the spirit, I believe, as a spirit or strength in ancestry. Some of them are otters. Like this one in particular had three otters depicted, and this is about 1 foot high and made of steatite. And they're reaching out to touch what looks like an altar that's crosshatched. And so on one side, it has the otter peering through between the two other otters, which are kneeling here. And so this was a real great work of art. I mean, the hands were reaching down, touching the altar, and then reaching up to touch their mouth as if they're eating something like an offering. And this kneeling figurine is one of the most detailed and artistic. I mean, they're all amazingly formed, but this one really was interesting to look at because this altar that they're touching is crosshatched completely on all sides, and it appears to be, like a sacred altar that they're touching with three otters. And then you see its tail extends out to the base of this on the one side between where the two altars are located, and their legs are extending to touch the altars. This is an interesting example of what I think is a merman symbol, and the merman was another example of a clan symbol, but the back has a very light engraving of what looks like a fish tail over here, and then this is a human figurine putting his hand around the back of what looks like a man with putting his arm around a woman's shoulder, and then down on the back of the figurine there's a tail that extends down here, which is very much like the merman, which is another important clan symbol. And then this one was very interesting because it's almost a combination of the merman with a alligator or beaver tail possibly, and a wolf head on it. So it's a combination figure. And then there's the crab clan as well, and some of the figurines were carved as a crab, like you see here, crab claws, and the eyes complete like either a crab or crawfish. Okay, and the next is the bears. I mean, the bears made up the majority of these figurines. There were over 50 bear figurines in this collection, and most of them were very large. Like this one's about 2 feet tall, and it has these two bears embracing. There were multiple examples of this found, and some of the bears had a picture on one side, and then the other side had a male and female figurine carved into the opposite side of the bear figurine. So there were many examples of this in the collection. The majority of the figurines were bears. Like I said, mentioned there's 50 some or more of those. And then some of them were bears that looked like they were eating human heads or eating something in their mouth, and they were holding their hands up to their mouth. Some of them had crisscrossed legs, and they had the smell of fire on them. I mean, very noticeably, they smelled like fire. Grizzly bear, these are all clan symbols that correlate. And this one looks like it's holding a human skull and reaching out, peering over the top of the skull. The lynx was another clan symbol, And there were actually several examples of this with the lynx that were in the collection as well. And like this one almost looks like a jaguar or lynx. And then there were this one down here that shows a similar symbol with a cat face and this crosshatched body that's almost arching with these arrow-like patterns emanating out from the heart. So these really, it looks like it's drawing these lines to show the heart in the middle with these lines emanating out from it from all sides. And then there were wolf figurines as well. So wolf is an important clan.
Right.
The wolf, there were many examples of the wolf in this collection. And coyote or canines. So I'm just showing a few examples here of the wolf figurines from this collection that really correlate to the wolf clan. And then there was Thunderbird. The example had several examples of Thunderbirds almost looking like angel carvings. But Thunderbirds were depicted on several of the faces of these figurines. And then there was the crane bird. I mean, this bird with long wings and long legs was also depicted. The forked tree clan is another one. And there were many examples of the forked tree. And as you can see here, this one had the bear climbing up the tree, and it's arching over with the forked branches coming off of it. Many of these figurines had those forked branching sides coming off of it. And some of them had like turkeys that were crosshatched with the forked trees figurines as well. This one, another example of the forked tree figurine. And the eagle. There was a lot of bird figurines and eagles in this collection as well. The bald eagle was clearly represented. There were golden eagles, herons, a lot of birds. There was dozens of bird figurines in this collection. And some of them were carved like this out of steatite. The birds range from very large examples to small and even carved examples in the sides of the stone with the branching figurines off of the sides. There were swan figurines as well, and sometimes that look like swans kissing on one side, and very artistically carved swans that were all on the sides of the figurines. And this is an important clan as well. And then there were turkey figurines, partridge, and goose, which correlate to the goose clan. And these...
Right, that's all bird family.
Right. The bird family, the grouse, I guess, shown here, or partridge, was very well depicted. And then there were other figurines like ducks and possibly, or pigeons, these correlating to the bird family. There were snipe figurines as well in this collection, and some of them showing multiple levels or multiple depictions of birds above other animals like a totem. And possibly these could represent lineage with multiple generations. And some had pictures like this, the tablet that showed another bird, like a goose figurine, an owl figurine that almost looks like a burrowing owl that was shown, pelican, or something that looks like a pelican figurine was in the collection as well. This could be an emu, I don't know, but it looks like definitely an avian species with a big long neck, almost like a pelican, or would be depicted. And like I said, there were many other examples of bird figurines. And metaphors are like the beaver tail on this figurine It's important. There were catfish. There were a lot of bears. And even the Yuchi and Gwale clan symbols were depicted. They had the bee symbol, which is a very important symbol. The horse and arrow was in this collection. Steatite carving, and you can see it has like a bow and arrow with the horse here. There were many depictions of humans riding horses in this collection. And the alligator is very important. This one is at the Smithsonian currently in their collection. And you can see it's in this tray filled with all the Mount Pisgah relics that they didn't even know they had these at the Smithsonian until I asked them and found out that they actually did a couple weeks ago have these in their collection. And this one in particular shows the alligator. You can see the teeth are even depicted, and there's 3 letters here. This is most likely saying the word the Eternals. It has a circle and a V, but it looks like the possibly Cherokee writing or Creek writing depicted on this, which translates to the Eternals. And the Daddy Longlegs, there are spider figurines as well in this collection. And so that's another important clan of the Creek and Gwale.
And I was explaining that to someone a couple days ago. They asked something about Spider Clan, and I was explaining to them that even Daddy Longlegs, right? Daddy Longlegs was a clan, and it blew their mind. So anything that has spirit or familiar spirit, right, gives birth to a clan. So from water to plants, from the fish to the paw family, everything. So this is definitely amazing to see. But I do want to add, as I spoke before, this is simply a testimony to how great women were, being that women were the ones dealing with pottery and creating the effigies for their family, for a clan came from them. And oftentimes we see these animals being depicted. You and I agree on another point. These were, how do you say it? These were depictions of how their spirit was, right? So if I lived in a panther family or an ipetu, and I was being depicted by one of the mothers of the family, trust me, they'll depict me as a panther. So I know exactly where you're going. So I'm walking with you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's amazing that these really represent spirit animals or spirit totems. So they're depicting their spirit as that totem, and they're sacred. They're part of, an important spiritual connection with that totem. And there were many other figurines showing humans kneeling. I mean, just about all of them showed humans kneeling. So it was penitent sculptures. Many of them were depicting avocations of peace, like holding hands or shaking hands. And you can see there are even smoking a central peace pipe or like a water pipe in the middle with 4 tribal members surrounding the outside edges. And then this one over here, which shows the 2 shaking hands, these carved in steatite. You can see they're about 10 inches long or almost a foot in diameter for this one. And then some of them show chiefs sitting on a throne or seated with this otter-like hairstyle and cross-hatching all over it. And
do you have the front of that? Pardon me, I don't mean to cut your wisdom, but do you have the front shot of that right there?
I do, but not on this slideshow. I can pull it up after this though and share it. But this is the one that is depicted on the Valentine Museum website, and I wanted to show the back of it because this hairstyle is an otter hairstyle, and I'll show the front after this. But around the collar are these dots and the punctated dots, and one of my colleagues thought it might be buttons, but when I saw that this was also depicted on porcupines, like a porcupine quill. I think this might actually represent porcupine quill necklace. or part of the porcupine quill that was worn on their outfit.
Check this comment right here that I just pulled up on the screen, if you can see it.
Oh, porcupine quill. Lane. Stitching, right? Like stitching the porcupine quill, stitching around the collars. Right, because they all seem to have this dotted decoration around their necks, which really would correlate with the porcupine quill stitching.
Okay.
And some had this squared hat, like shown on the back of their head, which was a very unique figure, that the hairstyle or figurines. Some, like this, showed alligator in the upper left, and then there were cups and other type of lodges with a symbol inside. And then the ones that appear to be mastodon or mammoth, these two shown at the bottom here, look like either a mastodon or mammoth. I don't know what else it could be unless it's an elephant. And there were ones like this that look like mastodon as well. So this is the largest accumulation of prehistoric figurines that may represent mastodons that I'm aware of in the whole country. And if in fact it is a mastodon, then I mean this dates it back to Ice Age or possibly very early Archaic period when those animals existed. And a lot of these were seated figurines like this, either with their legs together like this or kneeling. So one of my colleagues thought this might be a Mayan dwarf effigy figurine. The head is facing up and similar to what is found in the Mayan dwarf effigies. And some were unusual like this, which is a trowel or what looks like a spoon made of another type of material, limestone or lightweight whitish stone material. There were several like this that just were different than all the others. And this one shows what a lot of the figurines look like, kneeling with their hands crossed, and it has a sun symbol on its chest and a crosshatch symbol in the front. So the notable animals, there were white crane, there was the loon figurine, the bear, and the eagle, all present in this collection. And those, as well as the other Qualle, Creek, and all the other figurines we've seen, I mean, they correlate very well with the totem symbols of the clans. And it would support the theory that they are part of an ancestor shrine or a totemic shrine where they were all collected there together.
Okay. There are a few things that you showed that I would like to speak on. There's someone who is Chris. I don't know who Chris is, but Chris is coming to the stage. I don't know who that is.
Chris Feinfrock. I asked him if he could come in. He joined me at the museum when photographing these, and has a video. He has a video of these figurines as well that he could share, possibly if you're wanting to take a look and see a video of the figurines. It's about a 5-minute video. We also have a 45-minute long video, but it's a lot more detailed. But I asked Chris if he could join and talk about it as well.
Okay, perfect. Chris, greetings. Welcome to the platform. How are you doing today?
Very good, sir. Forgive me for jumping in. Vince, continue. Just so grateful to be here. So thank you so much for the invite.
It's never a problem. Chris, as I say, and some of you will understand what I mean when I say this, we all use our gauge differently. So your time is your time, right? So Is there anything that you would like to present or add on before we get into the free build or the regular part of the conversation or the flowing part of the conversation, I should say?
Well, please forgive me. I'll let Vince take over as he thinks best, but it's a very special 5-minute video that I think Vince has the link for. So just let me know if I can help. I'll be here. Go ahead, Vince. Thank you, sir, very much.
Okay, so yeah, if I could show the 5-minute video if you'd like to take a look at that next. And this shows the actual figurines and a kind of a trimmed down version of the actual figurines at the museum, where when Chris had brought the film crew and actually videotaped these. So I'll try to pull it up here and then I can share this.
So the same way you ran it last time, how you once you went there, um, I'll be able to pull it up. So
Okay, I'm sharing this. All right, can everybody see that? Water pipe. The crosshatching is covering all sides of the figurines and the base.
I would call those rodent feet.
Yeah, looks like a rodent. Bull or
Capybara.
yeah.
Which it's been a very, very long time since those appeared in North Carolina. And this one, the edges are finished a little different. It's not crosshatched as much as it's just grooved.
Yeah. And it's tabular for sure.
Yep.
That the symbols that show a lot of the peace avocations were very different from the time when Native Americans were at war and there was a lot of fighting going on. Why would these depict peaceful situations instead of warlike?
Is this a different material? Or maybe just a different part of the material? Holes are poked in it. Are those buttonholes?
It looks like it.
It looks like buttonholes. Hard work. Meticulous work. That is very interesting. And the artifact is damaged right away, apparently. It's a happy face.
Yeah, smiling.
Buttonholes again. Rectilinear. It looks like it's got buttonholes in a collar. Less happy face.
Yeah, very different facial.
So headdress, no headdress. Both faces are looking generally, but
Flower, or maybe lines.
might be serpentine. I'm not sure.
And then, yeah, some kind of branching tree-like object piece on either side back here. Comes through here,
Yep.
completely hollowed out. In the back, I'll look at the back. It's got a bird, like a robin almost.
Again, in a chair.
Yeah, a chair, like.
There's a sun symbol on the chest. The figure appears to be kneeling, actually. It's an interesting tail, whatever that is. It's not bear's tail. Doesn't look like beaver tail. Exactly.
Yeah. It's got bear on one side, and the other side, two people holding hands, male and female figure.
That could be intentional, actually. Looks like it was broken from the outside in.
Yeah, killed with three legs on it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know that this is a bear. The form is all wrong.
Yeah, the form is all off. It's definitely bending its back quite a bit to eat that animal, whatever it is.
See, this one, no. Is that 427?
Yeah, 427 is over 524. And the chairs are crosshatched as well. Oh, that definitely looks like a pipe.
Yeah. I have no idea what that's supposed to represent.
See that crosshatch on the side?
But this is not a bear's tail.
No, definitely not. Mugs. How many times have you seen mugs in archaeological context? Like never.
Not.
I've never seen them before either. Then the tripod blades.
And again, it's all carved stone. But that's a squirrel.
Squirrel, yeah. Squirrel on the side. It might be a run.
Well, it might be right.
But yeah, it kind of looks like a hog.
Curled up tail on the back. It's a hog.
Yeah.
What is that figure right there? I love the calligraphy on the labels.
Yeah.
It's one of the original. Huh. Oh, there we go again. There we go.
Yeah, there's some. Okay, did everybody see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
You have a question in the comments. Shaman 711 asks, are those bowls stone or clay?
And so they were mostly stone, made of steatite, but we found out that there were some made of clay. Some were actually fired clay pottery, and we did test them this year to determine whether they could be dated by a thermoluminescence method, because we know now that thermoluminescence can be used on clay. And out of the 8 tests, 2 of them came back positive for clay being thermoluminescence dated.
Oh, wow.
And so we know that some, in fact, were fired clay. And but the majority were stone made of steatite. And steatite is something that was a commodity that was traded all throughout the time from Archaic period all the way up to the woodland and into the Mississippian period. So the vast majority of these were steatite. And it looks like the ones that were pottery were different, lighter material. The one that showed 2 figurines sitting in chairs and holding hands, that was positively determined to be clay, and it was dated to be last in a fire from around 1780 to 1880. So the last fire was 100 years before it was excavated, and it was dated by Oxford Authentication and authenticated to 100 years or less before it was excavated. So it looks like that there was this building being in a fire was post-production fire, like it was fired after it was made originally, and the fire would reset the thermoluminescence clock so that it would show that this building was actually in existence up until at least 1780, or from around the 1780s, which is very late, early historical time frame, but it was definitely confirmation that this was clay.
Okay. And this video was taken where exactly?
That video is from the Valentine Museum in Richmond, Virginia.
Okay. And
that's where the artifacts are curated. They have these in a vault, and there used to be 2,500 of these. Now there's about 900 left. So it looks like they were divided up between the Smithsonian, Valentine Museum, and also the University of North Carolina. So there was a neg proclaim in 1999 from the University of North Carolina to return the specimens from the site, and it was placed by the Eastern Band of Cherokee. In 1999, they reached out and wrote a claim that these artifacts from the site where these are found, called the Garden Creek site, need to be returned. And they did so, but the ones at the Valentine Museum and the Smithsonian are still in their collection. And so we found out that the ones at the Valentine, well, they were on display up until around 2009. And then they were taken off display and put into a storage locker. And so now they're just sitting in a storage locker, not on display. And the pictures that I showed are from their collection. You have to reach out to get special permission to view these. You know, I first heard about these when I was volunteering at Cahokia Mounds, started researching the symbolism of the cross-hatching that was on the Birdman tablet. And I found out that these figurines from North Carolina all had the same type of cross-hatching covering all their surfaces. So it's an important spiritual symbol and symbol of a clan. Even the Ojibwe say in their birch bark scrolls that they had used this cross-hatching to represent a symbol of power. And the more densely cross-hatched they were, the more powerful the image. So some of the figurines depict this cross-hatching on all sides, and as you may have seen in the video, it's covering the stone carvings in a lot of different methods, and
Right.
and it's an interesting depiction they used.
Okay. What I will say is that work is amazing as far as what you have shown. But I have questions. I would like to ask a question. So when it comes to dating this, right, and it comes to time periods, may you let the audience know what time period we're dealing with here, just as a refresher?
Right, that's a good question. And typically the totems were in use after the Great Flood. So this would put it after 5000 BC timeframe.
Mm-hmm.
Totems started to be used because their memories were wiped clean and they needed an identity. And so they used the totems as their identity or their clan symbol, started to choose the totems, and these figurines match the totem. So I believe that they
Right.
were originated with the Anishinaabe totems, and also, many of the totems correlate with this. Then, there are examples of the Mastodon that seem they maybe even be earlier than that. But the majority of them, when they excavated the mound, they determined that it has two main time periods of occupation. The earlier was around 500 AD, 300 to 500 AD, which is woodland. And then also the Pisgah phase, which is a phase that dates around 1000 AD to 1400 AD, was designated because of this particular site where these were found. Pisgah was the location where these are found, and the Pisgah phase became named from the site. And so then DeSoto, when DeSoto came through in 1540, he looked he visited the site, and it was called Kofitacheke, and they visited with the lady of Kofitacheke there. But yeah, as you're showing here, those Mastodon depictions, are really interesting, because the site has 4 of them that were found carved in stone, and
Right.
and that these the Mastodon is typically considered Ice Age animal. So the site has a lot of things that are ancient, and they may have been passed down through generations and just accumulated there as part of the ancestor shrine.
Right. What I will say is, let me see one moment, try to pull this up. Oftentimes, when outsiders don't have an understanding of culture, they try to limit things, right? Um, so that's why many um, push away on the idea that humans interacted with things like the mastodon, the American lion, right? All of these different animals that we know existed at that time. Now, if science, and we're going to say their science, we have someone else to add to the stage. If their science says, well, okay, this went extinct about 6 to 7 thousand years ago, or this animal went extinct 10,000 years ago. And the fact of the matter is, you have proof of civilization in the Savannah region area back 50,000 years. And this work can be found at USC Sakuhachi. Um, I'm going to try to pull this up for you. But Sakuhachi is an original Iba'a, or as you know, a Kofutachekwi town. Um, they eventually became a part or mixed with those Mississippians. That earlier era though, that's the Yuchi and the Yama. So that's why you can start to see the cultures blend. Like when you showed the brothers hugging, right? That was a part of the priesthood, or what they call the Anikutani, or the Tosotani Wanio Yadaha, right? The brothers of the pipe. So the frog effigies, all of these things actually correlate with the ancient green corn ceremony, which was used to unite those in the southeast. Now, this what I'm showing here goes with some of the work you were speaking on. Um, this is by Albert Goodyear, Dr. Albert Goodyear, but the exhibit Searching for Our Beginnings, Public Archaeology at the Topper Site features stone tools made by people long ago, long ago, in a place very, very near, excuse me. The research gets worldwide attention from scholars and the news media because it shows that people were in the Americas 50,000 years ago. That's a radical idea because the prevailing opinion was that people first came to the Americas about 13,000 years ago. So there's science out there that has taken this back, right? As I like to say, has walked it back. And in walking it back, we have to ask this question, or these two questions, set of questions. Were these people interacting or still interacting with these different animals at that time?
Okay.
And who is that? You have to mute up,
It's not
please.
working.
Thank you.
52.
Let me see, who do I have to mute? I have to mute someone. Oh, there we go. Lori and Mark. Sorry, got to mute you real quick.
Okay. That's part of the reason why
Let's see. Why isn't it muting them? Something wrong with my computer. Let me go ahead and yeah. So they'll have to come back in, being that the microphone was messing up what I had going. Ricardo, let me add you to the stage real quick. I see you in the background. Let's see. Are you there?
Hi.
Or he dropped back in the back. I don't know what's going on.
No, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Good evening. I'm sorry for my appearance just now, but I thought it was noon Central Time, so I'm sorry for the confusion.
Sorry about
Hi,
that.
Vince. Hi, everyone. I apologize for this. Not my habit to come late to.
Sorry.
So.
No, it's okay. I definitely wanted to finish this point. Just one moment. So the question becomes, right? Did these people interact with these animals, or was this story of these different animals passed down, right? Because it's not a coincidence that the tapir is the ancestor to animals found in modern day Africa or South America. And it's not a coincidence that a big cat left here and went into Africa to become the cheetah. So what's going on is much, much older than many have proven it to be, or that they have even acknowledged it to be. So that's just one thing I wanted to say. Ricardo, if you have anything to add, you can have the floor, or I yield the floor right now for anyone to
Thank you,
speak.
thank you for having me. Just to add up to what you were saying, I can show you this from the Smithsonian. Not sure if it's on screen or not.
Oh, not yet. In there. Okay, if you present.
I'm sharing right now, so is it on screen?
Not
No,
yet.
bear with me one moment. I'm about to drop Vince's old screen and then pull up your screen.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. All right, I got you. Here we go.
Okay. So this is a 1872 from the annual report from the Smithsonian, and you
Mm-hmm.
can clearly read here that is not the existence of such mound a good evidence of the contemporaneous existence of the Mastodon or the mound builders, and also of the very small change, if any, to the present bed of the Mississippi River. So they were recognizing here that in order for this, for a proboscidean, that's because I don't know if it is a mastodon, if it is a mammoth, we don't know what it is. It's a proboscidean. So it is clear they have seen it, because otherwise they would not make a mound without seeing that animal, right?
Right.
So just adding to that point,
Exactly.
because I just arrived, I don't know what the topic was, so I just listened to that and pulled this up.
Well, right now we're just in the free build. After the presenter does their thing, I'd like to just have an open conversation where everyone opens their mics and we just go at it, and just have a good time.
Yeah, peace,
So
Mr. Vincent.
there we go. Now go
peace,
ahead, cuz.
peace, Mr. Vincent. I would like for you to tell everyone that's watching currently the significance of clay, the red clay in the southeast.
Right, and the red clay was also a clan symbol as well. The red clay / red ochre was used as important symbol of the tribe and the clan. So that is a Gwale clan symbol as well. And some of these artifacts from Mount Pisgah were coated with red ochre or made from red clay.
Interesting. And also, Mr. Vincent, could you tell give everyone an insight on the positives and the negatives of corn in the southeast?
Right, and the corn is important because the eternals, really the corn bringers, or the Yuchi green corn ceremony in particular, was a crucial part of the culture, and the form and meaning of the corn is important. It seems like a lot of these depictions on the figurines included corn and corn stalks or corn symbols. So the Yuchi green corn ceremonial really describes what was going on here, and they used that ceremony and had the green corn ceremony every year. A lot of the depictions are, and the ceremony is referred to in this book called the Yuchi green corn ceremony. So I mean, this is a very descriptive book that talks about the customs and the dances that were held during this ceremony. It's all well recorded in the Yuchi green corn ceremony.
And Vince, and hi Chris, I just saw you.
Hello.
How are you? Vince, would you say that from the figurines that we discussed, that some of them have types of flora that might be determined of their point of origin, for instance, what they are trying to represent? Because we see different types of flora on different faces of the same figurine. You remember
Yes.
that?
Yes, absolutely. A lot of them show corn or even tobacco. It looks like some of the figurines have tobacco leaves and corn is present. There's wheat-like stalks, which are similar to the ones from Texas called the wheatstone. But a lot of these have flora that's depicted on all sides of the figurines as well. So they're intricately carved. And
I have a question.
well, go ahead.
With those effigies and the totems, are you able to pinpoint if they came in at different time periods, or pinpoint closer to the years that they came in, as far as helping out with the clans being brought in, knowing what time the clans came in during those periods and met up?
Yeah, that's a good question. There were some figurines that have guns. I mean, literally guns on them, and they look like they're long. Some of them are long guns. Others are black powdered pistols. So there are late historic depictions of guns on some of the figurines. That would be a strong indication these were added to, and the figurines with guns would be later than the others. Interestingly, the gun figurines had no cross hatching. Then all the other the animal figurines and totem figurines all had cross hatching. So it looks like this was an accumulation of many different time periods combined together in one building before it was burned down. And some of the figurines, like we mentioned, the Mastodon, and then the other figurines all correlating to these tribal totems. I think that it's clear that the figurines were ancestral totems. Other than that, to determine the age date of these, I mean, we tried to reach out to the museum and ask if we could carbon date them, radiocarbon dating, and that was not allowed. So we used thermoluminescence and dated two to be determined to be last fired from 1780 to 1880. And they said less than 100 years from the time it was excavated, but the Virginia conservator said that could represent a range of 1,000 years. And so it's really difficult to say the when, although we know that the totems were in use from the Great Flood on to historic times. And like Shaman asked about the Kofitacheke connection. Well, Kofitacheke was a village that where the lady of Kofitacheke was the queen or the leader of the village, and DeSoto visited their ancestor shrine in 1540 and described these figurines that he saw firsthand in the temple of El Ku. And the ancestor shrine had these depictions, each one representing a chief, and they had been placed there on 3 shelves in this building. It's the only place that he found these, and they were in abundance with pearls and lots of tapestry in this building. So we know that they correlate there as well to the ancestor shrine of Kofitacheke. And subsequently, the Cherokee village of Cayuga was at the site as well. So it looks like what happened was the site was rebuilt at least 8 times. There were multiple buildings found at the site that were excavated later on, and these were reported to be buildings one on top of another, built 8 times on the site. So it's evidence that the site was just reused, and then every time the building burnt down, they built a new building in its place because of its importance.
I have one more question. In the video, you asked a question that did not receive an answer, a direct answer. You asked about if this is during a time period when so much war was going on, why do the effigies have smiles on their faces?
Right, and that's something that Valentine, the curator of the museum, had asked because the curator of the Smithsonian, Rao, said he was thinking it didn't make sense that these were peaceful scenes with figurines depicted um, in using in images of a peaceful or a scene where they were shaking hands or smiling, right? So it represented. We thought this was clear evidence of a different time frame, and that they had to be much earlier, like from another time when they were created.
That's
So
all. There's also the possibility that these are hubs of peace and communion that can be separated from those periods of war too, right?
Right, because one thing that again that often goes overlooked is sacred society, or what people call secret societies. But if we have peace, right, or if we have a society which is put in place to keep the peace, of course they will be smiling all the time, right? This is how we view it on the east side when dealing with the Yuchi or people like the Yuchi. They brought the green corn ceremony to literally stop people from stepping on each other. So they put priests in place to make sure things would move smoothly. And they had a governing system in place like the Yama to make sure things move smoothly. War did not come in until another people came into that land, which is why you can actually start to see the change in the culture or additions in the culture. Or sometimes you actually might find where things stop and then you get a whole new people that resettle that land, right? So that also can cause contention. Another thing I wanted to speak on was about Kofa Techekwi. For anyone who doesn't know, Kofa Techekwi was not just one place. In fact, the term Kofa Techekwi is a Mobilian word. It's a Yama word. The word that the people or the place that they called themselves was Iba'a. Some of you may pronounce it Upaha, right? But Iba'a stretched from Florida all the way to North Carolina. So this was a part of, this is the reason why their direct path can't be projected. But yeah, Kofa Techekwi, right? So this was a nation, this was a union. And an issue that you run into when you study De Soto's chronicles is that some people that were in this union, or some people who were considered subjects to the senorita, as he writes, right? They didn't accept the green corn ceremony. So this is why you may see a difference in the language or in the dialect. So where you may say Chiraki because you speak so-called Siouan, someone who speaks a Muskogean language doesn't roll their R, so that re becomes le, meaning that they would have said Shilaki or Shilakwi, right? This alone shows us that those who walked with De Soto were Muskogean speakers and not so-called Siouan speakers, right? Because that name Kofa Techekwi alone is an exonym. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to put that there, that the history of Kofa Techekwi or the actual range or the graphs that she had, it was very extensive. But again, that brotherhood is a reason people see smiles. It wasn't always war.
Yeah.
So I definitely, no, go ahead, pardon me, because
Sorry,
I can
sorry.
get winded. Go ahead.
No. I was just adding that from the brilliant research that Vince has been doing, it seems that no matter how many times it was rebuilt, and Vince, please correct me if I'm wrong, there was these different ethnicities in the same place, right? So it's not a one race place. And it seems that it's repeated here and there for the United States. There is certain places where all the different tribes or and even people from foreigners came and commune in the same spot, right? So that would be a reason to be a place of peace, and not a place of war, where these ceremonies were conducted in terms of peace, even if there was a time of war. And to add to that, I just wanted to add one thing from the previous point, that is, uh, the place is highly convoluted, which means you can find older artifacts on top layers and younger artifacts at lower layers, which means the Earth has been revolved many times, right? So it is also hard to date anything from layers because the place has been beyond destroyed and excavated and rebuilt the top. Am I right, Vince?
Yes, absolutely.
Most definitely. And that's why when Mr. Vince found us, I was excited because well, anyone, this is my second book, The Green Fire, Volume 2, where I speak about what you were just talking about, Mr. Ricardo, as far as things weren't it wasn't a single people. We're talking multi-ethnic, right? We're talking a spiritual system that united people from South America to Canada is what the green corn was. So they often try to make it about ethnicity as opposed to cultural, right? In that the cultural traits. And in this book, the green fire, I speak about the green corn briefly, but I just want to touch here. So it says the Zoya are credited for bestowing the ritual to the peoples called green corn. Green corn was not just a ceremonial symbol, but it was a restoration of a once powerful trade network that originated in Mesoamerica at the Temple of the Sun. So that sentence there um, gives us where corn came from, where maize came from, right? Maize originated with the Mokaya. So when you all are finding these different figurines of botany, all of these different plants, what you all can do is trace what time those plants got into the land, and then it'll show you what time the people who brought that into the land came. This is how they were able to restructure what they consider the Proto-Muskogean language and even Mobilian by tracing the dates that these plants like tobacco and maize came into the land. Um, and this is how they also date the Mississippian era, especially for different groups on when they got maize agriculture. This is how you will notice the Wali didn't adopt maize until around that 1200 AD era. And if you study the Wale, and I have all the work here, let me show you. Let me put my camera, I'm gonna swap my camera on this side. But all of this is work from St. Catherine's, Santa Elena, all of every piece of, oh my God. But um, said that to say, they show us and tell us these big things here. They show us and tell us that when maize came into the land, it actually changed life for the Wali people. So while war stopped in a way, their health declined. So the people who had no cavities, now 80% of the bodies had cavities. People who weren't anemic became anemic. The Wale, or the people that we know as the Upaha or Kofa Techekwi, were a much robust people before before Europeans came amongst them, right? So what they ate, their intake changed who they were. So by the time De Soto got there, the chiefdom that we're reading about is a chiefdom already in decline.
Right, but you also have to consider, and I don't know if Vince touches this, but I'll give you an example of the the human sacrifice that can be seen in Mel Gibson movie, and I think it's very illustrative how you can keep a system.
Apocalypto,
Exactly, how you can keep a
right?
system because the public that is down on the plaza doesn't know anything about astronomy. They don't know that the eclipse will happen. It is a natural thing, and the sun will always come back again. They don't know that. So it takes that power on top of the pyramid to control the public in terms of belief, saying we need to do this in order for the sun to reappear. And so when he does it and the sun then reappeared, he is then considered, yes, he is the priest of the god. He knows what he's saying. He saved us all. So he creates this following and this devotion that is very fervorous from the people. In terms of the Pigash
Yes.
sites and in
Hmm.
terms of other sites, there are indicatives, and I'm not sure if Vince touched that it can be a place that can be used for people to believe there is a superpower there. This is a supernatural power there in action. I don't know if Vince touches this or wants to touch this. I leave it to him. But there's in the structure there are ways to make people believe that something is there that creates this
Yes.
kind of fear and coalescence between all to consider that a sacred place. And at the same time, to me, it justifies when that fear gets too much, someone comes from the outside and thinks this is the hub of the power that people adhere to. So let's destroy it in order to reformulate society. But somehow, this group managed to come back to the same place and rebuild exactly what it was before, again and again and again. So that's also very curious. I don't know if you want to say something about that, Vince, but I leave
Right,
it to you.
and as
But
we learned, the
but before,
village, the village of
excuse me.
Cheke, the word Cheke is the word for mixed race, and so we know that this was
Yep.
always a group where these people with mixed race came from many places, and also then the village of Canuga. Well, that was also a word meaning mixed race, and so the Cherokee had languages like on the tablets that's the one that looks like an alligator that translates to the immortals. So it was a sacred place through many rebuilds and many different cultures that lived there, but always had the mixed race origins, that these people came there to the site and they rebuilt it over and over again.
All right, I have a question.
Yes.
It's speaking about the race and the mixed race. Before there was a mixed race, what was the race in the southeastern before the mixed race came?
Can you say that again? Sorry.
I think you need to have several people in order to have a mixed race or a place where people will join together. So they're all independent people until they decide to find a hub where all of them can stay together or celebrate something together. So I'm really I'm sorry, I don't get your question, but maybe Vince gets it.
The question I'm asking, what race was in the southeast before everybody started mixing?
Do you think it was just one?
Before the mixing, yes.
Yeah, that's a good question. What is the first race and before they started mixing? But as
I don't know.
one of the things we learned about totems and the totem mag, they said if someone of the, for example, the Bear Clan can't marry another Bear Clan person, they can only marry a different clan. So the majority of these figurines were Bear Clan, but they had the whole gamut covered. I mean, they're all representing different clans. So I think that's good evidence that these groups met there and had mixed race clearly identified by all the different clans that were there.
Well, let me put it like this: was there Negroes or was there Mongoloids?
They could even be Asians.
Yeah, it could be Asians, Negroid, Mongoloid. I mean, the figurines were depicting different head shapes that were some of them were that looked like Negroid, Asian, or Mongoloid as well. And Chukchi were identified as one of the different types that they had found, which is an Asiatic type of skull or a head shape. So there was many different shapes and many different styles that they had combined together.
Yeah, I would add to this mix, and this might be relevant to you that made the question. I had probably one of the best talks I had in the last 10 years with Dr. Danny, who is in Bali, and he was showing me the new places, and everyone on the podcast, the places where he's going to start conduct research. And one of those places is a harbor that is 3.7 square miles that lies 60 meters below the water, which means is at least 12,000 years old. So there is a vast naval capacity, at least 12,000 years old, from the Oceania that was capable of exploring the entire world because the sea level was much lower. And for you to need a harbor that size, you need to have a vast naval movement, be it by trade, be it by themselves. What it matters is this naval contact. That's why I struggle to identify one single race to come first, because you can go to a place and come back and take just things, or you can go and make a colony. But a lot of people could have made that, so you have immediately a lot of people that might not know each other, but at some point they're going to meet. Who's the first? It's very hard to say who's the first, because we had to go so back in time that it's almost impossible. It's like people thought that Neanderthals and Denisovans were separate tribes. They weren't. They were mingling with one another. They were marrying interracially. That's why Neanderthals disappeared, because Homo sapiens has this ability to absorb every single genes from the others, from the Aurignacians, the Denisovans, I can't remember more names right now, but all of them were fused into Homo sapiens and is divided on all the species that we have now, from Nordics people to the pygmies of Guinea. So that are completely different types of humans, but they are all in the same classification. To say who is the first, to me, it's very hard. It's not. It's an excellent question. The problem is I don't think we have data to answer it properly.
What I will say is, for me, and until anyone's science feels like correcting me, it was the Negroid. And Negroids there are many species of Negroid, right? But it's not hard to call. We have to call a spade, and we understand the admixture. Now, when understanding the story, and we're speaking about that mixed town, the reason they were called mixed is because, again, as we all agree, there were different groups of people, and clans even mix you. So Mr. Vince broke it down to a micro level. Your people was really your clan. Everything else created the admixture. So when the people came from Mesoamerica and they made it to the coast, and these people who spoke different languages in a way became one, of course, someone would have said, those are the people that's mixed, because we're isolated by ourselves. We kept our tradition. They kept their tradition, but those people over there mashed their culture. So there's nothing wrong with being mixed. I have admixture. You're talking to someone with a Mandy grandfather. You see what I'm saying? So there's nothing. If you deny your admixture, you're denying your origin. I don't care what you're mixed with. So you can say, well, one of my grandmothers was Mayan and one of them was this. Well, that means that your story belongs to both of them, right? And they came together to make you. So wherever they were at that time, that's your story. Now, when I say mixed, I want to touch on this. I don't make people think Melungian, right? Or I don't make you think Melungian. You choose to think Melungian. When I say mixed, I'm speaking of someone who has a mother and a father. Whether you're Nupitu and Waboye clan, so your mother can be Panther clan and your father Deer clan, you're Panther clan. You're not Negro, black, white, colored, or Asian. This is what we mean by true admixture, right? So I'm not making you think you're mixed with white and black, especially when someone like you would say a white and a black race don't exist. Those are colors. So let's be honest. Let's be honest right here when we're having this conversation today. So, Mr.
Look,
Vince, talk to me.
The best words in relation to that will come from Haile Selassie on his speech to the UN, when at some point he says that there will be war until the color of a man's skin is of no more significance than the color of his eyes. So if we keep debating between black and white and Asian, we are just missing the point, because that's just separation levels when we all can interact independently of that. So we are all the same, and we all have different abilities and different characteristics, and let's use them. That's what I say. Each one to have best ability and work together. So
as our elders teach us, that the clan system is universal, right? You have a clan. Everyone on here has a clan. When someone took clan and made it this is where we get the issue, right? This is where we get a bigger issue. This is where we get the greater divide. So now, when we're talking about any bloodline in the Americas, once you get to a certain point, you're dealing with mixed people. If anyone is not mixed, that means they're inbred. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Right. That's
You're
true.
right.
So
Right.
what are we really talking about?
But even
But
even if you consider islands, as for instance, the Azores Islands
it's
are
right
very
here.
small, right? And so people in there had to inbreed with one another. That's why they're a bit crazy.
Facts.
Because, but they all came from different people. Some came from Scandinavia, some came from Portugal, some came from the Americas, some came from here when they're colonizing it. There was different people, so they can't escape the diversity, even if they are inbreeding, because the diversity precedes it. So,
Right. Right. Right.
I have an archaeological question.
To deal with these.
Yes.
Hold on, someone's.
I have an archaeological question. Dr. Vince, I was reading the work of Joseph Benthal. Uh,
Somebody's mic is terrible right now. Who is that?
I was trying to
Okay,
ask.
I muted him. Can y'all hear me? Can I get a mic check? Can y'all mic check? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Who is
yeah, I was
that?
I was muted, but yes, I can hear the static.
What in the world is going on? Hold on. Can I get a mic check? Mic check. Mic check.
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
I'm trying to ask a question.
I can't hear.
I
You
go
can't
ahead.
hear anyone?
Go ahead with the question. I guess I can hear.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I was reading the archaeological work of Joseph Benthal in the Ocoee, Hiawassee river area in the McMinn counties of Tennessee, and their evidence that they found or artifacts that they found coincide with the same artifact. I mean, with the same evidence that you found as far as the time periods. Now, what I didn't see was that they didn't find many effigies. Um, they did search a riverbed, so there were more Paleo Indian artifacts as far as arrowheads and different types and forms of arrowheads and weaponry and tools, not as much as effigies go. Could you actually e- explain why your area had more effigies, understanding that we know that we searched that you searched a uh, a council area, but they searched a riverbed, but the time periods of the artifacts are the same.
Yes, and this site we're talking about, the Garden Creek site at Mount Pisgah, North Carolina, has the largest cache of effigies in the country. It's very unusual. It's outstanding, and we're talking about 2,500 effigies that were all different, and they're all very well made and crafted. There's no other place like it, and even in other mound sites where they found effigies, they may find two or three, but nothing like this 2,500 of them. And the fact that there are representations of each clan in the building here makes it really exceptional and outstanding compared to all other sites. So I think what we really have here is the ancestor shrine, and these were, excavated back in 1879 to 1880, and then literally locked up in a storage vault for 150 years since then, and just not studied. They were forgot about, and it's a treasure trove, and it's a great place that we can start with studying and learning about the history of these sculptures and the totems that they depict, and the ancestry shrine is really an important thing that was just discovered here that's really unique and different than anywhere else.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And so I see on the screen somebody showing the Yuchi history.
Yes. I pulled this up when you were speaking about the writing or the different style writing you saw in some of the artifacts. And the Yuchi that are in Tennessee, they definitely agree with us. Speaking well here, I don't know if y'all can see. Let me see if I can. Okay, there we go. So where it says the Yuchi have a tradition that they were at Cahokia with the Siouan peoples. So again, admixture. You So if anyone is Yuchi or claiming to be Yuchi, right? The Yuchi say that they were dark skinned or that their original ancestors looked like Negroes. But that doesn't mean that every Negro is the same. So to say they were Negroes, that's you as someone else's science. What are you? What was your culture? What language did you speak? That told the world who you were at that time, right? Now, that writing that I was showing you, Mr. Vince, is from the Tennessee Yuchi. They found writings in caves that many have claimed to be Cherokee, but they showed that they were not. And they also put together an older script. Let me show you, see if I can pull this down. If not, if I didn't send this to you, I'll send it to you once we get offline. But this is supposed to be the script or the syllabary created by Traveler Bird. And he was explaining that some of these were taken into, as we can see, which became a copy of the original Cherokee syllabary, right? And the Yuchi and the Cherokee have a interest in history, as the Cherokee have spoken that they were the ones who came in and killed the priests, right? Who were called the Anikutani, or that are known to the Yuchi as the Tositani Wano, or Tennessee, right? Because Tennessee in Siouan languages means brothers or to become brothers. So this history that we're speaking on, though it seems to deal with Cherokee, it's definitely pre-Cherokee. I really don't feel like going into a great build right now. I'm just focused on the things that you found, and I'm definitely more than thankful that you came here to present your works. So I know you may have some other you got some more ammo in there, Mr. Vince. So go ahead and take the floor. Continue, educating us.
Okay, I'll present my screen here and show a present slideshow as well. Okay, so this slideshow depicts what it was like at the site where these were found at Mount Pisgah when they were excavated originally. And so what we're talking about is at Garden Creek Archaeological Site on Pigeon River in North Carolina. The site was a farm field for about 50 years at that time. And this crew was from the Valentine Museum. They came on the site and they were doing archaeology. So this is James Mooney and Valentine, Man Valentine, and his son Ben Valentine, along with a lot of other excavators here that dug up the site in 1880. Actually, 1879 to 1880, they started digging up the site, and they found this petroglyph on the site, which is a UT petroglyph on the rock art. So this is good indication that it is, in fact, Yuchi origins. And in the mound they dug up, this was a twin earth lodge mound, 2 squares connected with a tunnel. When they excavated, they found a wooden casket and skeleton in the mound. And this was in a fetal position on the side, but the skull was broken and damaged. And the skull actually shown here, we have determined now that this was an adult male skull that apparently had had some post-mortem impacts because the skull appears to have been broken and damaged after burial. And this apparently the skull is a adult male, and it had some dental problems. The thought was possibly the cause of death was originally dental infection of the teeth, because as you can see, there's a lot of loss in the lower jaw because of the dental problems. And there's also an impact on the skull, like it was bashed in the back of the head, and there's quite a bit of post-mortem damages on the skull to indicate that it was either damaged after the remains have been on the site for many years. The discoloration and the white color of the skull would indicate that it was broken after it had been in this mound buried for many years. And as the DeSoto Chronicles said, that the group, the DeSoto people, DeSoto's crew, they went into this mound at Kofitacheke, which was the temple of Elku, and they literally damaged the skeletons, and they kicked them around and were very disrespectful and destroyed the ancestor shrine. They burnt it down, and this ancestor shrine was filled with pearls and the skulls of their ancestors. And these were the chiefs' burials in caskets, in wooden caskets found in the mound. And so this was a accumulation of chiefs that had been buried there in the mound for many years. And these figurines were their totems, or totems that were buried with the chiefs. And they were like a self-portrait of the chief. There were also banner stones found in the mound, and there were, you saw these figurines riding horses or depicted with pipes, and as you saw, there was some that showed female and male with a bear totem surrounding the outside edges. Some showed bears, giant bears that looked like they were devouring people. And as you can see here, there was the lynx or puma clan depicted, and other figurines that look like a lizard or alligator, possibly holding a staff. And in the middle here, you see some even were depicted with a basket, holding the basket on their head. And they're covered with cross-hatching or nested chevrons on all sides, and very intricately carved depictions surrounding all sides of these figurines. And some were like these pottery vessels that were cross-hatched. Some were mugs or bowls and cups that had cross-hatching. There were
that's fire.
100 of these, and so these were taken by the Smithsonian, and they were called bogus, and literally had been put in their vault for 150 years because they called them bogus, and they were not reported or studied at all. And we know they're not bogus now because they've been authenticated with thermoluminescence, and in fact, some are made of pottery. And so this authentication proves that they're not bogus; they're real, authentic artifacts, and that they were in a fire. You see, when they were excavated, they actually were found in a fire that was applied around them. So this is when the village of Kofitacheke, the temple, was burnt down. That all of the figurines were burnt together in the temple.
Right. Pardon me. So history time. Give me 1 second, Mr. Vince. You could keep your screen up. You don't have to go anywhere. Let's see. So for those who don't know, this is what I mean by admixture. You see that banner back there? We do this for real. You see this warhead dress right here? We do this for real. I want to let you know that there were a group of Europeans that the Wale or the Iba'a gave land on the coast, and it's called Duhar. So don't tell me that we're trying to add them to the land when there were people that came from Europe hundreds and thousands of years ago that we gave land to. Same thing with people that came from different places. So that's not what we do here. The next thing I want to mention, the Yuchi and the Ogeechee, right? The Ogeechee name comes from the Lenape, Talagualiwi, or Hogalugi. This is a name given to the different groups, the Yuchi, the Shawnee, all these different groups who went to war with the Lenape. And when that band of Yuchi settled in the southeast near Tibi, or which they call Salt River, that's when the name followed them, the Ogeechee. So yeah, that's definitely a fact. The Ogeechee River is definitely tied into the Yuchi, but it's an exonym. Let's see. Great information. Okay, North Carolina, Virginia, Tennessee. Yes, one thing that people don't know about the Southeast is that the majority of us were unified in ceremony, which is why, as Mr. Vince showed, you see many of these similar totems. You see similar symbols like the zigzag or what we call the lightning strike, which you may see on my paint. If I paint my face, you will see that yellow zigzag during ceremony. So we know that these things are actual facts. Let's see what else we have. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Other comments. All right. Outside of that, go ahead, Mr. Vince. You could take over again.
Okay, thank you. So yes, we recently found that at the Smithsonian they have about 30 of these figurines from the Mount Pisgah site, and including this great bear, and it's apparently touching a altar or a crosshatched object that looks like an altar with these lines and zigzags, or the depiction is very clearly a great bear. And they had other ones like this that almost look like an armadillo or turtle figurine. And the one here, it looks like an alligator possibly. And Ben Valentine wrote, "Hey, I'm glad you have continued to save all these objects with markings on them. It looks as if these accounts of their stones with their cross marks and other figures, as they say, Indians cut notches in trees as a guide to tell them of the news, and left them there for their runners or by their runners." So, I mean, he was glad that they saved these when they excavated this mound. And but this symbol on the stone, it looks like a Cherokee or Yuchi word for the immortals in James Mooney book, or possibly the term for peace and harmony.
Or those who don't die. We would translate it into immortals.
Right, those who don't die. The peace and harmony, those that live forever or do not die, and we translated English into the immortals. But it's a clearly shown. It's a symbol here. They have written on the stone, and this is one of
right. It's an ideal, yeah,
translatable. And so that's an important example. And so this site was reported by Alice Wright, and it was excavated thoroughly from around 1960 up till 1983 and reported. And you can see it's 2 squares with a passageway between them. That's also an important totem, the way it was built, oriented north and south in orientation. And this mound was excavated, and they found the layers of building and construction at Garden Creek site with basket load fill. Here's an aerial photo of what it looks like in the field now. But you can see they excavated down Garden Creek Mound. It had 5 mounds in this field, and 2 of them, they dug into the central earth lodge, and they found these figurines. So they knew that it was important, and they cleared it out. They basically dug out to the walls of the internal surfaces of this earth lodge and took all the figurines back in 1879, 1880. And the walls of the structure were burnt. And this shows how they found it. And when they excavated, they found the post pits even below the previous excavation.
Yes, that's definitely one of the things I was speaking about is when you look into the Mississippian era, say from that 700 AD era on forward, you start to notice that a lot of these structures are built on older structures. That's how you tend to get the stacking of the different mounds, right? They were built in procession, if I can't say.
Right.
Let's see. So Catawba, I think that's Catawba born. Again, what's interesting is, and as I always say, the Wale, the Appalachee, the Catawba, and the Yuchi all called themselves Upaha in their own language. To think that there was to think that these languages were isolates, that tends to happen when you're not a speaker of any of them. But these people in this culture is much closer than many tend to think. And that's literally what you're showing today. You're literally showing how the clan system united people, but then you're also showing how many of these totems predate what many would even think possible, right? So this is interesting. My favorite is the Mastodon. I'll tell you that much. Even though my clan, you have a lot of work on the long-tailed beast or Nupetureha, right? Or Hapre, depending on dialect. Let's see. So do we have any questions in the chat? Anyone have any questions for Mr. Vince? That way we can start a Q&A. Or is there anyone on the panel that has any questions for Mr. Vince so we can start the Q&A?
I would just add to what Vince posted that there are some figurines that represent non-native animals. And to me, that suggests that this is a place where travelers came from afar, and someone that was making the figurines will get a description. So the animal is not perfectly the example of what is, for instance, a rhinoceros, but it's as close as someone is telling you what a rhinoceros looks like, and you are shaping a stone in its shape. So this is just one example. So it shows that not only American, but it was a place that foreigners from other lands came with their experience, or even their own traveling to other lands, we cannot say, right? And they describe what they saw, and they try to recreate these figurines in that shape, although it's not perfect because you're just getting a description. It's not a first-person view of what you are creating. Do you agree, Vince?
Yeah, that's a good point. And again, it may have been an artistic representation from memory of someone else, or interviewing another person of what they saw, and then creating a figurine that they thought looked like it, or in some cases a combination of multiple figurines that, like the one that almost looked like a beaver tail, alligator body, and the merman figurine combined. These may have been depictions of multiple clans combined into one thing. So literally an ancestral depiction of multiple clans combined.
What I will say is, though these things may seem to be older, many animals that aren't considered American today, they definitely have their origins here. Like for instance, the rhino. Um, we have our own, so it would definitely be interesting to see at what point did these rhinos really go extinct. Because while many think that jaguars aren't native or indigenous to North America, the fact is that the jaguar migrated down into South America. So there have been jaguar bones found in places like Florida. However, there have been documents of actual jaguars in the 1700s. So when we actually begin to study these things, we start to notice that many of the animals that we see other places actually took on their evolution here, then began to migrate other places. Like the I can't pronounce it right now, but it's a cat. It's like a puma that left the Americas and became the cheetah. But today we consider the cheetah to be African, but its ancient ancestor is an American mountain dweller. So what knowledge did these people have at this time of animals that once existed in their land, then went extinct thousands of years before them? So all of these questions that we have or inquiries that we have can all be fact and or truth. Maybe someone was depicting something or speaking on something from their homeland, and now I began to shape it that way. And or maybe I have an ancestor that existed with these creatures, and I have an idea of what it looks like. So just all of that actual, we have to take all of that into consideration.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. That's an excellent point. I would even argue it to your favor that when I did my research into the Fezzan area of the Sahara, where
Hmm.
these people that are very important in history but not mentioned, that are the Garmantians, they control uh, the salt trade
The
from
thought trade.
the Atlas Mountains to to the to all the way into the far ends of the Sahara, to the East Sahara. So these
Right.
Garmantians, they describe themselves as hunters of a human type of creature that is very hard to classify in our terms because they run faster than four chariot horses. They needed
Hmm.
four chariot horses in able to catch this human-like figure and kill them, and they try to kill them all. And so to me, when I look into the morphology, when I look into the history, and I've written a small paper about it, to me these were clearly Homo erectus that is supposed to be extinct some 200,000 years before that, right? But you
Right.
still find it in the Fezzan area at this time when the Romans were already an empire, when you
Mm.
shouldn't find them, right? So the only human that is anatomically
Right.
better than Homo sapiens in terms of walking and running efficiency is the Homo erectus, because it was much better running and walking than we are, anatomically speaking.
Right.
So they would be able to run that fast. It's the only hominid that I can put in history context that could actually represent what we see there. So when they have pictorial art, they dwell in the Fezzan area when the Sahara was still I'm sorry, I'm not English, so I struggle with the language sometimes. A very lush green area, so it's a
Hmm.
very dense forest full of water. They have pictures of themselves swimming in caves on where
Oh wow.
today is a desert, right? They have
Right.
it's
Right.
called it's called the swimming cave because they show themselves swimming on those caves. So the garments limited their area. The climate got drier, so they got closed into this niche until they become finally extinct. They
Hmm.
didn't have words. They speak by clicks, although that can be associated with other tribes of the area that
Hmm.
was also find in the 18th century researchers from Europe. They also find tribes that used clicks. We still have tribes today they have words, but they also communicate by clicks. Uh,
Right.
but to
We
me,
have
it's a
clicks in
clear
our
example
language.
that we could have animals and people far into the present than we think they are. They might survive
Right.
much longer than we considered.
Most definitely. Let's see right here. Says don't forget the South Sudan. See that was the salt trade. The salt trade. If I think if you controlled the salt trade, your economy was booming because the Yuchi controlled salt from the Great Lakes all the way down to the Savannah River. So if yeah, okay. Let's see. We have a question. There was a question. Let me see. Let me answer this real quick, you guys. Let's see what we got. So it says, for some reason, it's taking forever to pull up on the laptop. But what similarities can be made between early Paleo Indians, animalistic practices in the Carolinas, and later woodland or Mississippian traditions of the Southeast. One thing you know, Sean, that I like to do is I like to make sure we are we know when we're talking about, right? The Paleo Indians are another group, but I'll say this. You answered it here. Animalistic. The root of animalistic is anime or animism. Animism is the worship or the practice of veneration of spirit within anything. So that unifying principle is the similarity between the pre-Clovis, the Paleo Indians, and the historic or the Mississippian traditions, is that we all were animists.
That's absolutely right. And like you showed an example of the pottery bowl with the zigzag pattern, this lightning pattern. Well, and that was shown on the bison figurines as well. Well, this is animism. I mean, they were imbued with spirit, and these symbols of the lightning strike or the lightning bolt on all sides of the bison and the pottery bowls, and those are important figures that represent that spirit and show that animism was really a major part of this cache, and the fact that they found them with these figures engraved like that shows, you know, they each had their own spirit or their own animism.
Right. This picture that I'm depicting right here is a Yuchi chief that has those same zigzags on his head. So I don't know if you can see it here. I may have to make the picture larger.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it's a part of the culture, right? It's a part of the tradition. Same thing like with the tattoo he has on his chest. And remember, he's Yuchi, right? And the same tattoo he has on his chest right here that you all can see is the same tattoo that Tomochichi has. So what connection did the Yuchi and the Yama have that wasn't genetic, that united them? The simple answer would have to be ceremony.
Well, you find the cross hatching all the way from the Paleolithic, and you find it all across the globe, from Asia to Europe. I'm not sure
We're
about
we're
Africa,
we're,
but I'm
we're talking universal science.
exactly.
Right. This is a common art motif that was social symbolism of tribal art. Each X or crosshatch represented spirit, and the other possibility here, like you mentioned, could be tattoos. I mean, that they would actually tattoo themselves with these lightning bolts or the crosshatching on their skin to show their clan as well.
Right.
So these figurines were basically self-portraits that, you know, they have been the depictions they had as tattoos on their skin.
But it's kind of like in the Nile Valley when we see these however you say the word, but anthropomorphization or something like that or whatnot. But when you see the human and the spirit interact, or the human and the animal interact, what they're talking about is that spirit in them that connects them to that kingdom, right? So Sobek wasn't just Sobek, it wasn't just a Nile crocodile. This was a society. The same thing with Horus or Heru or the Neb Heru, right? The golden Horus, these are societies. So oftentimes when people are dealing with indigenous cultures, they overlook the fact that these clans also come with societies. And that's one thing that you all are pointing out. A lightning symbol and a diamond are two different things, right? One is dealing with all direction, and one is dealing with one or a singular direction. So all of these things you all are bringing out are definitely needed. Trust me. I'm here for it. Let's see what else we have. Let's see. Because Mr. Vince, this is your week, right? Next week next week is gonna be my week. So I need you here. So you can, so you can be in once I go over the history of all of this, because I don't want to, take too much of your time.
All right, I really appreciate it. Another book that is good on this topic is this one called North American Sun Kings, Keepers of the Flame, and it discusses the Yuchi ancestor shrine, and it was a secret that the Yuchi held this treasure trove for many millennia, going back through time, and it's described in this book. And I think what we have here is the actual ancestor shrine where they kept their treasure trove of figurines in sculpture of each tribal clan, and each clan is depicted here in steatite or pottery that have all been accumulated through many thousands of years. And so I'm really happy to have the opportunity to share about it and just and share the learnings and just hopefully that it'll lead to more study and a lot of interest in the ancestry and the culture that the Yuchi had, and it's a really important part of our Native history and also American history. So it's exciting to share about it and talk about it with you all. I'm just very thankful for the opportunity to talk about it.
One more question. How many of those artifacts that you found had script on them?
That one of the alligator was just found from the Smithsonian, and the script on it seems to correlate well with the Cherokee or Yuchi language. The others, they all have cross hatching. So I think by script, I mean symbols with meaning. I think the cross hatching is a symbol with meaning, and it could be interpreted as a script. It was meaningful to the person that engraved it. So I think the majority of them do have a script or a symbol with meaning on it to the people that created it. And the nested chevrons or the lightning bolts, those are symbols of meaning. They were really important because they depicted it on each of these figurines. The ones that didn't have script, like the ones holding guns, they were just plate of steatite engraved. Well, those I think came later on, and they didn't have any script on those. So it was important to recognize, I think, that this is accumulation of many thousands of years of figurines, but the script is prevalent if you include the cross hatching, the nested chevrons, and all the different engravings on the majority of the stones. Like over 95% of them have these symbols.
But Vince, I think it's important to mention, considering the vast amount of figurines that exists or that we had know of, how many did you have access to? So many of them could have some clear examples of writing, others less. But there's a lot of effigies still to be seen, right?
Right.
Oh, sorry, not effigies, just figurines. I'm sorry.
Effigy figurines, right? There were 2,500 of them originally reported. Of those, 900 were in the Valentine Museum, and we just now found, about 30 in the Smithsonian. Before that, there were some in North Carolina, the University of North Carolina, that were, I guess, taken by the NAGPRA claim in 1999. So there's many more that could have written language on them that we didn't see. Like the actual Cherokee characters on the one that we saw, the alligator. There may be other examples like that, and you saw that they mostly correlate well with the ancestor totems, the totems. So it's clearly symbols with meaning and very important to the clans of the natives.
Thank you, Vince.
Definitely. While we are here, all of you who are watching, I definitely want to let you know that we appreciate you. And please go ahead and click that subscribe button. We are on the way to 1,000 subscribers right now. I should have about 930, but I appreciate you all, especially for being here today, because this is glorious. Now, we have a comment on the screen. It says, this Kofa Techekwi ties to my Chiron Catawba when DeSoto got here. they were indigenous or Indians, not a mixed race. Now, you're talking to the red fire keeper of the nation you call Kofa. So you're talking to the actual war chief, and I'm here to tell you, they were definitely mixed. You want me to put my mom on the phone or my grandmother on the phone? So the people you call Kofa are the Wale or the Catawba, which came a lot later because Catawba also is a mixed group of people. You have to be honest when we're telling this story, right? Um, Again, the thing about Kofa, it shows that it was more ancient than a lot of towns because a woman was the leader. In every clan, in every town, the woman was the leader. There were no male chiefs at one point. So you have to be careful when you're saying this ties into this or ties into that. When you don't truly know, you have to do the work, right? And it starts with your own bloodline. If your family is not in it, I don't want to hear nothing from you. It's not shit you can tell me. And y'all know how I get on my podcast. It's nothing you can tell me if your family's not involved. Let me pull this screen up. I definitely want to build here, Mr. Vince and Ricardo, to see if you all have seen this before. Let's see if it pulls up. What's going on? Add to stage. Let's see. This is called There Were No Cherokees in Cherokee Country. Mr. Vince, I actually sent you this so you can check it out. But there are a few things I want to touch on out of this work. So I just need you all to bear with me for 3 moments, right? It says, like all Mississippians, the dominant political structure of the Muskogeans was the chiefdom, governed by the Orata. One thing that many don't know about this title, and if you studied the chronicles from the 1500s, you see this term Orata. Now, to let you know that we do this for real, I'm going to be the first one to explain to you that Orata and Holata are the same word. So the word that people are calling Appalachia is found in the 1500s, dealing with the Kofa, the Yuchi, and the Gerada, or the people you all call Chihuahua, or the Cherokee called the Anishinaabe. Now, the interesting part about this is it goes into explaining that you can tell who De Soto's guides were based off the language they spoke. This is also found in the Catawba Nation's treasury, which I'll pull up later. But to the immediate north of Kopatacheki, in the Piedmont region of North Carolina, was the province Shilakwi or Shilakwi. In the Mobilian trade language, which was the lingua franca of the Southeast, Shilakwi signifies speakers of a different language. De Soto's recorders do not mention the name of the town here, but Pardo's chronicles called it Otari, while maps as late as the early 18th century refer to it by the first appellation or application. It says we can glean the identity of these speakers of a foreign language from the name of their dominant town, Shuwala, which Pardo records as Juara, except for the le versus the re. The pronunciation is identical. One would surmise that De Soto's informants were Muskogean speakers, while Pardos were Siouan speaking. The people at this town were the same, later known to the English as the Siouan speaking Sarah or Shira, whose Siouan speaking groups in the areas later coalesced as the Catawba. So the Catawba are a mixed group of people. Don't tell me that you're not a mixed group when one of my groups of people helped form yours. And we run by the same name. So what are you talking about? In De Soto's time, the Shuwala was subject to Kopatachekwi, Upaha. But in Pardo's time, Juara was independent and a paramount chiefdom. So again, reading is one thing. Living this is another. So while you're telling me your people are in a mixed group, I'm telling you, the Catawba didn't exist in the 1500s for the simple fact Catawba is a Chata word. It's called Catapa. Look it up. Don't argue with me. So I yield the floor to anyone who wants it or who would like to take over. So with that, right, when we're dealing with language, Atari, Hoalata, all of these are titles. You can go on Google. You can purchase The Struggle for the Georgia Coast. I have it right here. You can you can purchase these texts. All of the books right here. But what you will begin to notice is that when you study the people that you call Wale, Holada is found often in their towns. And it's spelt with an O, but it's Olada because they started speaking the Yama language, meaning they no longer wrote their re, the word was le. So now you see the word chikora, chikora. Someone who spoke Mobilian would say chilaka, chilaka, or shilakwi. You have to know the language before you go to talking about these people. I tell you all this all the time. I tell you this all the time. Let's see. So what else do we have? Any other questions? Any other questions for the great one? Uh-oh, here we go. So you have a question, Mr. Vince, right here on the screen. How old were the bones that were found? Here we go. How old are the bones that were found? And what are their genetic markers if they have been tested? A great question.
That is a great question, and we don't know. Elizabeth estimated that they are from the prehistoric to early historic period by looking at them, but they haven't been tested. The only thing existing, other than the picture that I showed, which was from the Valentine Museum, it was in the book of Mount Pisgah relics. The last 8 pages or so were the pictures of this skull, and that's where I got it from. The picture was taken back in around 1880, so we don't know. Unfortunately, they haven't tested it. Just all that's remaining is that picture.
Okay.
But Elizabeth looked at it and thought it was prehistoric or early historic, and that it had a lot of postmortem damages, which would coincide with the DeSoto description of their treatment of the Temple of Kofitacheke.
Most definitely. Let's see. I know I have a lot of new people. I know for a fact I have a lot of new people here viewing. So I'm gonna read something to them. One moment. I'm gonna read something to them and hopefully it brings closure, right? I have this book here. It's Catawba Nation Treasures. Let's see. I'm gonna show the text because as I like to do for you all who are new to my channel, when I mention a book, I often like to show it, show that I actually own the book. So no one says, oh, he's reading from a PDF. Y'all know when I get into the little spats or the little debates, I let people know if you read from a PDF on me, I'm going to kick your ass, right? Uh, so I want to put up this information speaking about the Chikora, Kofa Techekwi, and Upaha. This is a story. Mr. Vince, Mr. Ricardo, Mr. Chester, they're literally the only men that I know that agree and speak on Kofa Techekwi, going down from Florida and Georgia all the way up to the Carolinas. So you all just bear with me one moment. Let me see if I can find this page. Spanish contact, okay, perfect. So let me share this screen for you all. One moment. Where are we? One moment. Because someone spoke on the Shikori or the Chikora. So I want to put things into perspective. Let's see. All right, we're going to start here. I'm gonna start in this area. Let me see if I have to pull this up again. Oh my God. Hold on, y'all. Give me 2 seconds. Which screen they need me to pull up? Yeah, yeah. Something's going on. Let me try this one more time. Add to stage. There we go. So it should be coming up pretty soon. The Catawba Nations Treasury. There we go. So this book, you all should go get. It's only a couple dollars, but it's talking about the arrival of Europeans. So here it mentions that Chicora and Cofetachequi, modern day South Carolina. So we have them being one and the same. Also, they have a chapter that is next. Here we go. Chicora, Cofetachequi, or Upaha. So, as we will learn, Chicora or Cofetachequi, the place was famed for its gold, silver, and pearls. The Muskogee speakers of Georgia called the place Cofetachequi. The term is a Creek word in keeping up with the Creek who dominated the area DeSoto found himself in at the moment. DeSoto was to learn that in the language of the Catawba speakers who lived there, the place was called Upaha. I can't make that up. That's not something that I can make up. So this union was greater than what many think it to be. And I just simply appreciate you all for bringing this to the light. Because many try to make these things Cherokee, and they're definitely pre-Cherokee. So, Mr. Vince, you have all my appreciation. I thank you for everything that you've presented here today.
Learned so much from you. Thank you very much. Wonderful podcast.
And thank you, Lanier, for hosting again, and everyone for attending, and thank you for sharing and joining with us today, and for your talent and for being here. You're all appreciated very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. If you're speaking, you're muted, so we can't hear you.
We can hear you,
I
Mr.
have a lovely couple in the back, Miss Lori and Mr. Mark. How you all doing today?
We're doing fine. Currently working on some material that will give some interesting insights to pre-Columbian Mesoamerica. And we're finding a lot of details, and a lot of details that are the background to the stories you've spoken of here earlier. A lot of things that give weight as oral history versus legend to a lot of the foundational histories to the Catawba and other peoples who are survivors of the Mississippian disaster at Cahokia.
Wait. What did you call it?
Disaster.
Oh, no. Hey, we're going to be on this phone for another hour.
Yeah, she just said something.
I've written a short story called Conquering Cahokia.
Have you looked at our books, Chasing Dragons, The True History of the Piasaw? And
I have not.
Thing too?
I have not. Mr. Vince, please send those to me. I'll get those today. Mm-hmm. Please send those to me.
They are on Amazon, and they are about some problems with pigs, among other things. Mm-hmm. Pigs have long been a carrier of human catastrophic disease. And you will see descriptions of the same in the book To the Gates of Fengtu, Fengtu. And it describes Cahokia down to the square foot, and a lot of information about that upper Mississippi Valley and on southward throughout the Mississippi Valley, the pre-Columbian cultures, very Mayan daughter culture.
Mm.
It's complicated. It's a mess. It is complicated.
This I think I found me a new virtual auntie. You are amazing. I cannot wait to read you all's works. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Thank you. My husband and I are Cherokee, Chickasaw, Osage. Most of that is me, other than my husband being Cherokee, and Blackfoot. And there's a lot of interesting things in our genetics that back up what we have found in our historical research.
Oh, if I can add one thing, you were speaking about the Catawba. The Catawba were at war with the Cherokee during the Revolutionary War. There was an American officer named Henry Whitener, Captain Henry Whitener. He protected the Catawba against the Cherokee in the Revolutionary War. He's an ancestor. So my ancestor protected the Catawba tribe from destruction, which I think is really cool.
Amazing. Because we both know that the government, and different governments, Britain and the United States, put out bounties on the Catawba and the Yamasee, especially those groups of Yamasee had bounties on them. So I can't wait to sit down with you all. And I knew that was coming. Red Crane, Pete.
Well,
I knew that was coming.
There's a lot of
this was spoken about before.
Yeah, there's a lot of information about smallpox in the book To the Gates of Fame 2, which is the last 15 chapters of a book that I have translated. And your mind will be blown.
Okay. Trust me, by today's end, they'll be on their way to this house here in Miami. So most definitely.
Enjoy.
Yes, ma'am. It says, we have a shout out. Shout out to you, cuz thank you for so much for joining. All of you. And someone asked, do I have a TikTok? Yes, my TikTok is Wale Origins. That's GualeOrigins. The real Wale Origins. Someone tried to take my name. Like, bro, you don't live this for real. We live this, right? My medicine man is on this platform. My big chief is on this platform. So trust me, my mothers are in the comments. So we live this, bro. Also, you can find me on Instagram at the Horned Panther. That's _ Horned Panther. So that's somewhere you can find me also. Let's see. That's what I was told by my great grandma, Cherokee Blackfoot. Yeah, see that combination we hear often, Cherokee Blackfoot. One has to be, you have to be careful because you have a Blackfoot Confederacy, you have a Lakota band that's considered Blackfoot, and then you have a mixed race of people who come out of the Carolinas who are also known as Blackfoot, Brass Ankles, and as the college football team, the Tar Heels, right? So you have to make sure you track your genealogy properly to understand which branch of the Blackfoot you come from, right? Let's see. Can I link the book? I'll send you the book after I buy it. The Blackfoot Saponi. Now, the Saponi Blackfoot, that's another thing. The Saponi are actual people. The Blackfoot Saponi is a group created by way of admixture. So that's, again, how you get the Tar Heel, right? That dark-skinned person or that white passing person who literally has an indigenous grandparent. So someone on their census roll may be marked as white. Whole time they have an indigenous grandmother. Or you might say, oh, that's a white man. But no, they're indigenous. The same way they do us is the same way they do other people. So don't think it's only one way. You'll be a damn fool. Excuse my language, elders, but you'll be a damn fool. So let's see what else we got. Mr. Ricardo, you have anything you want to drop for us? We're almost to our 2 hour and 30-minute mark. So I know you have some things you might have to sauce up, but we can get it up on the screen if need be. And anyone watching this video, please leave a like on this video, leave a comment, subscribe, because from here we're only going further. This is only going to get better. So you do not want to miss this, because I'm about to, everyone on here is going to be my new what I call YouTube or StreamYard family. So Uncle Ricardo, Uncle Vince, thank you.
A major shout out to the panel. Thank you for the information, the great build over the past 2.5 hours. It was lovely.
I know the voice, but I don't know who that is speaking. May you please introduce yourself to them?
I am Little Deer. I reside here in Oklahoma. I am Cherokee on paper, not by blood. Shout out to the Ba'a.
Are you enrolled, Cherokee?
Enrolled Cherokee. My people are on the Dawes Rolls. Made the journey on the Trail of Tears when they were 14 years old. They have a really good story within the tribe. But my family was assimilated. We come out of what is called Candy's Creek in McMahon, Tennessee, and also Coe Indian Village near Franklin, Tennessee. Franklin, North Carolina.
Let's see, Paul, are you still on here? Paul, do you have anything that you would like to add to the bill?
Yeah. I wish we could have stayed on for 4 more hours. Because I specifically asked them, how long can you speak for? Because on the southeastern talking stick, we be on that like for 4 to 6 hours almost, when it get good like that. But it was a good presentation, and it's good that the information is coming out in more perspective than one way. Um, and once again, I wish they could elaborated more on the Negro bones that was found, and also on one of the effigies when they showed that one of the effigies had beards on the face on the effigy, because you have some people that say, well, American natives all can't wear no beards, but actually you had a effigy with him wearing a beard. So I wish we could have touched more on that. Maybe on part two, if there was to be a part two, you could
Or
elaborate.
right now, if you all have that effigy where the guy had the snake around his neck with the beard, that'll be nice to present at this moment. We definitely can do that. And then I remember we spoke on the Negro bones or skeletons. I don't know if you all would prefer to do that the second go, the second go around, because I myself have something to present next week. I was just amazed at Mr. Vince's work, so I said I was going to be the student today and simply just deal with the chat. So
Right.
it's up to you all if you all wish to do that now, or we actually can do it another time where our focus can be, on the same subject, but we can go more in depth in other spaces.
I can share my screen. I'm not sure if you can see this. This is the one that looks like it has a beard, and I have a 3D representation of this figurine here. On one side, it has a person looking like they're riding a deer or elk, and side saddle riding that, and the other side has this person that looks like they have a beard and a snake around its neck. And so luckily we were able to laser scan 14 of these figurines and make these 3D representations that, we can zoom in on them and look at all sides of the figurines and see, in great detail about the engravings and what they look like.
Quick question about that effigy there. since you're seeing two different animals on each side of the stela, would that pertain to a admixture of the clans?
Yes, I think you're correct. And oftentimes that they depicted multiple animals, and it looks like that would be an admixture of the clans, possibly one side representing male and the other female, or the combination of ancestry of at the top what the parent was, and then the bottom the child. So yeah, a lot of them do have multiple images of different animals in layers like that. And so this bearded figurine here with a snake around the neck, I mean, it's pretty clearly a snake depicted, would possibly be a serpent clan member. And then on the back, it looks like a elk or a caribou riding person riding side saddle, and there's radiating lines coming across the top. Some of these things on the side may be written language. I'm not sure. They look out of place. They look a little unusual, and there's definitely cross-hatching on this as well.
I would say that it's clear that whoever made this figurine was trying to represent these two different representations together. So I think it's symbolic of some kind of union, be it between male and female, or being just between clans or tribes. It is, to me, is a clear representation of some association between the two.
Right.
My theory is that this is a priest, because we know the priest dealt with snake medicine, kind of like in the Nile Valley, right?
You call it priest and not shaman for some reason?
Yes, the reason I don't call it shaman is because shaman gets a bad rep. And a priest or a healer, which would be a proper word, right?
It would.
It's really those are really spiritual doctors and healers. And the snake or the ukina or the uktina, you can also find this in Yuchi mythology when dealing with the Anikutani. And the back of it may symbolize his actual clan, which may be the Hoofed clan, as we have on our website, and as you and Mr. Vincent yourself have eloquently presented when dealing with the deer, the moose, the bison, right? These different animals. So it could be showing a priest in the front, and then that's him on his clan emblem in the back. That's just my suggestion. Again, it's theory. It's just
a good
theory.
one. It's a good.
Right. It's a good theory.
Excuse me, that beard could be a tattoo.
What?
That too. It could be a
consistent with the culture. That beard could actually be a tattoo.
Oh,
yeah.
That's a good point.
Across the face, yeah, could be.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And in photographs of Kawana Parker's mother, we see a tattoo that exactly matches that.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
So it could be a female? Is that what you're saying?
This is also possible.
Hey, Mr. Vince, I told you who was making the effigies. I can't make this up.
Yes. Okay. Made by the females.
I told you, this is an art of women. Women, they're usually overlooked in history and culture, but many people don't understand this art was founded by the mothers.
Okay.
Right. So, I mean, I have 14.
Vincent, I sent you a picture a few months ago of a statue. It was beat up because it had been in a creek, but it was definitely a female. The head had been knocked off, but it was a woman because she had a chest and she had a knife in her right hand. Her left hand was straight down and her knee was bent, and there was a snake's head under the left knee with the arm straight down and the knife in the middle, like she was going to kill it or something. But the head was gone. whether that was because it was tumbled around in the river or because it was knocked off ceremonially. But I sent that to you. If you've lost or something, I can send it again. But there is, she's got the snake, she's got the knife, and it's definitely a woman.
Okay.
And that'd be Mississippian from south of Cahokia.
Yeah, I mean, that's very interesting. I'll definitely take a look. And this is another example here that it looks like, large face on one side, the bear on the main depiction, and radiating lines coming up from all sides. And then the back, I mean, it has this heavy cross hatching all through the side. And again, it's a really interesting figurine.
Bearcat.
Exactly.
Well, we do know.
I didn't want to say it.
Bearcat. There you go. Bearcat.
Because we in our tradition, the bear and the jaguar split. So the bear and the jaguar, we have a story that we have a common ancestor, but due to certain ceremonial obligations, we became separate families. So that's the split between the feline and the canine family, which is ancient. So, yeah.
Also, Mississippian chief, god kings were termed the Great Sun. So
Actual
the sun
fact.
image
Yes, ma'am.
we keep seeing plays right into that.
And the Natchez, even the Natchez called their chief the son of God. So that sun culture, or that solar culture, as you said, someone had to take it down, right? Someone came and invaded those great people of that sun city of Cahokia. And it's ironic today that the invaders of Cahokia consider themselves to be First Nations. I didn't mean to say that. I didn't mean to put that out there for them this week. That was supposed to be for next week. Pardon me.
Hey,
I apologize.
on.
So let's see. Red Crane, you've been quiet because being the medicine man, being the healer of our tribe. What do you think about this conversation that we've having with these great people today?
I'm just sitting back flabbergasted. Being a seer, I knew all this was gonna happen. I knew it was gonna be something with the proper people speaking that was gonna have everybody else listening flabbergasted. That was gonna have everybody else that's been tuning in to us like the whole time. They've been telling facts. They haven't been putting a veil over our eyes. So I knew it was gonna happen.
Most definitely. Most def. Let's see. Where did Mr. Vincent go? I don't see him on the screen right now. Did his laptop drop or anything? So let's see. Miss Lori, while you're here, because we have 20 more minutes, I would like to ask, is there anything that you and your husband would like to teach us about Cahokia, or some things, Mr. Mark? Are there any things, because I should address you, are there any things that you would like to teach also, Mr. Mark?
Oh boy, we don't even know where to start there so much. Suffice it to say that, and this is known across Asia, but rejected in much of the U.S., Laurie has translated a Chinese account of a visit to the Central American, to the Mississippi Valley in 1433-34. The Chinese account describes Cahokia in exact detail. You can draw out the city, you can make the walls correct, the mounds correct, the shape of the gates correct, what each mound is for. It talks about what is a wood hinge. It refers to the ruler as the sun. It also refers to the people as what? The Yama people who came from.
Wait. Oh my
Uh-oh.
God. Oh
Uh-oh.
my God. Hold
Uh-oh.
on.
These are,
Uh-oh.
oh my
Bingo.
goodness.
Ding,
Mr.
ding, ding,
Mark,
ding,
no, you about to
ding.
start something,
Ding,
Mr.
ding, ding,
Mark.
ding, ding.
You're about to start something.
Yes,
Please repeat
I am.
that
Wow.
Anyway,
one more time.
it's
Oh my God.
So
it's
we in
And
Chinese
as
do it.
a woman of part Osage ancestry, these are my family that we
Ooh.
are studying.
okay. Don't panic. The account states that the Chinese came and they went home in failure. They wanted to do some things in this country and it didn't work. Okay, and they went home and they kind of had to bury the details of what failed in their expedition. One thing to comment on, it said that they brought smallpox, and most of the people in the area they call Feng Tu along the big river died of smallpox. Now, we know that in the archaeological record, there's this mystery, the vacant or empty quarter, where almost everybody disappeared in the mid-Mississippi and Ohio valleys somewhere in the middle of the 15th century. And this would appear to be why all those people disappeared.
Yes. Initial archaeological surveys of the site by Brackenridge include accounts from local colonizing white settlers that there were areas in which you could not touch the ground with a spade or a plow without turning up human bone. This indicates that there was not living to bury the dead. Mm-hmm. This also occurs in one of the foundational stories of the establishment of the Osage people.
We have opened a can of worms. We would probably need to pull them out at some not today.
Most definitely did.
I'm gonna tell you why.
Something up.
I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna turn on my screen. Mr. Mark, this is why. Hold on, one moment.
Mm-hmm.
This book that I'm holding, my book, The Green Fire. Do you know what I call the Mississippian era? The Yama era.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The Chinese refer to them as the people of Yama, the Sun Lord.
I have nothing else to say. I'm the student. Talk to me.
There's an Italian map from 1585 that was produced. The man's name was Monte, but he produced this map 2 years after a Japanese delegation visited Italy. Anyway, it shows the Cahokia area on this map. It shows a dragon. It says the Jaguari people live here. And there's a phrase in Italian, but part of it doesn't make any sense. Was it Rinberry or something? Anyway, there's a name there. And if you okay, well, this if you transliterate and say this name is Chinese instead of Italian, the whole phrase all of a sudden means sun lord and loincloth here with the Chinese. And this is a 1585 Italian map before Cahokia and the Mississippi River had ever been explored by the white man, but it's on the map.
Verified by the International Cartographers Association.
Well, that's the 1602 map. Was the 1602 Ricci map of the world is acknowledged by the international cartographers to have sources before 1430, and it shows America. Like I said, we have opened a whole can of worms here. We have opened a can of worms.
Most definitely.
If I'm not mistaken, the Chinese that came, wasn't that dealing with the Shanghai Empire, if I'm not mistaken?
Say again?
Was that with the Shanghai Empire?
Shanghai. That was the Shanghai thing. That was like 1,000 years earlier on the West Coast. This particular expedition, in fact, they visited Italy before they crossed the North Atlantic. They came through the 5 freshwater oceans, which is the Great Lakes. Before that, they went past the Great Waterfall.
The god of mists and thunders with 2 wings, which is the Canadian and American falls of the Niagara Falls.
Then they went down the Illinois River to Cahokia. That's the same route that the French used later. If they wanted to come to the interior of the United States, they went through the Great Lakes and they came down the Illinois River. So that was a very common route to use. And
minimal portage required.
Like I said, it's a can of worms, and maybe if you had a few hours, we could cover all of it.
Well,
So are you all privy to the Walla the Lenape mythology? The Walla Ulam?
No, I don't think so.
Not. No.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm familiar with the
Why
whole.
don't you send us a lot of information? You can, Vince will give you our email, and you can send what you want to us, and we'll go back and forth on this, and we'll make it interesting. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Chris, bear with me one moment. I'm gonna bring you back in. I wanted to share this screen. It's simply Wikipedia, but it's showing that the Mobilian language or the Mobilian trade jargon was called Yama.
Mm-hmm. It was Pidgin.
Yeah, it's what they considered a Pidgin language. But what we found out is, in fact, the Yama language became a lot of the languages that we know as Muskogean today, but they got their grammar or their grammatical structure from other tribal people that migrated in. So that was amazing. That you told me don't panic, Mr. Mark. I panicked. I've never heard anyone say that before. Outside of myself, I've never heard anyone say that before. Amazing. That's
make
amazing.
a correction.
I could add.
Correction.
Go ahead, Paul.
I have to make a correction. That was the Ming Empire that came in the 1500s. The Ming Empire.
The Ming Empire. Okay.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is, China has two. We have reports in history of two moments of massive exploration. So one of it is 1000 BC that it starts with these massive ships that would be as big as the cruise ships, as big as the cruise ships that you see today crossing the seas. So the ships that were serving those big ships would be 5 times the size of a Portuguese caravel, and then the smaller ships that were serving the middle ships would be the size of Portuguese caravels. Okay, so this happened until about 800 BC, a vast period of exploration. Then it stopped. Then around the 1300s, whoever was the emperor decided to restart this campaign of sailing the seas, and it started through the Indic beneath. And these are what we know in Europe, because the 1000 BC only exists in Chinese records. They don't exist in European records. But the 1300s exploration that went until 1430, 1450, perhaps only 1400s, beginning of the 1400s. We know them in European reports as the treasure ships. And they were known as the treasure ships because every time they landed, for instance, in East Africa, they will give presents as gold, silver, jewels, and the ancestors kept this in mind. And this is the reason why the Portuguese managed to reach India, because they thought it was the treasure ships arriving again, because the grandfathers still have this tale of the treasure ships that arrive with gold and silver. And so they received the Portuguese as saying, oh, these guys are what our grandfathers were talking about. Well, instead they received tapestry, chickens, and some trifles of little value. But that's why they were well received, because they still remember this exploration done by the Chinese of the 1300s. So although regarding what the two gentlemen were talking about, I think it's the 1000 BC until 800 BC exploration that ended with when the empire changed hands. So I just wanted to add.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Chris, would you like to build on top of that, or you just chilling in the background? You good?
I'm chill. Lori and Mark, just let's keep talking. Lori and Mark, respond to that.
Hi, Chris. We didn't know who that was under the hat.
Yeah. But all of this took begun under Yongle and took place under the command of Admiral Zheng He, who was a Chinese Muslim. And the book that I have been translating is titled A Record of the Western World Voyages of the Sanbao Taijan. And it's the basis of much of what we now consider the seventh voyage of Sinbad.
Okay. And you said he was a Muslim. He was a Muslim a Chinese man.
Yes, he
Yes.
Is
was.
Islamic? Oh wow. And we
Mhm.
and weren't we talking about admixture earlier? But people like to deny it. Like, come on, man. Uh, one thing I always say is two things people are gonna do. And again, forgive me, elders. That's fight and have sex. That's two things people always do. So when the women were sending their sons out to venture out into the world, what do you think their sons were doing?
Boldly
But let
going and making babies where no one had gone before.
Exactly, making babies where no one has gone before.
but
So,
this is something that not a lot of people know. Is we have three civilizations that existed for at least from 7,000 to 4,000 years period without war. And this is in Iberia. This has happened in the British Isles. This happened in France. It's close to Iberia. That's why I'm not classifying as different. And it happened
okay,
in what we know as the Sumerians. Because before the
yeah,
4000 BC mark, in any of these places, there is not a single tool whose only purpose is to kill another human being. And they were
right,
being ruled by women. We know
right,
that these civilizations were being ruled by women. So,
right.
and they didn't know war. War happened after the cataclysm of 4000 BC, caused by the multi impacts that we know of as the Burkle crater in the Indian Ocean at least around 700 kilometers or 400 miles from Madagascar, east of Madagascar, that caused the great deluge, that caused flooding of Egypt. That's why we have some markers of this flooding there.
On the pyramids, yes, sir.
Yes, that's why we have Portugal. That's what caused this discovery for me, is trying to find out what caused these massive drumlins that no one recognized and what caused these vast plains. Because one of the astrobleams that impacted the ocean throw all the ocean into Iberia, right, destroying the megalithic world that depends on telluric energies and underwater ground to function, and everything was flooded. So it's like a gigantic pool full of electricity that cannot power anything. I'm not talking about electricity. I'm just giving the example of why this megalithic
No, I got
civilization
you. I'm
ended.
with you.
So my point here is there were nations that knew no war for many, many long period of time. They lived in kind of a haven series because we have records that even the animals were tamed. Nature was fruitful from the use of electroculture that we are rediscovering today from the 1900s. That was
Right.
done by the megalithic structures themselves along other functionalities. So war came after this period because there was all of these invasion tribes that wanted that territory because it was fertile, because they see that people were happy there and they couldn't enter it for some
Yeah.
reason that I will not talk here. But as soon as that civilization was kind of exterminated by this cataclysm, for instance, in Portugal, 96% of the male were killed. So Portuguese don't
Yeah.
know who descendant is because it's a mix of invasion tribes replacing
Oh
the male
wow.
population. 96% of the male were killed on this period,
Mm-mm.
right? And they changed from living in the plains, completely rested, where the encampments were near to the cromlechs and to the megaliths, and they started building these fortified hills. That's the occurrence of the fortified hills, and that's the emergence of the Copper Age. It's the end
Right.
of the Stone Age and the beginning of the Copper Age. And all of this came because of these invasion tribes that started the warfare that we still see today being represented by this male ruling of peoples and their cultures. I'm sorry if I
Most
went.
definitely.
I just wanted to put this out there.
Oh no, no, you're talking my talk because as we teach or as our mothers have taught, women or mothers have ruled since the beginning of time, right? Being that they're the first teachers. But when these catastrophic events began to take place, now they have to send their son out to do the business. Because whereas it was mother to mother, there's no longer mother to mother, right? You have someone else speaking on behalf of a mother that's from over here. So a woman that I would have done, my mother would have done business with is no longer auntie, as there's a male authority figure over that tribal nation. So now my mother has to send out a mail to not defend the tribe, but now to speak on the behalf of the people. Before it was mother does all the speaking, you do the action. Now it's I have to send you out there. So I love exactly what you said because it speaks to our culture also and how things change. Um, Not from a female dominated system, but from a woman led system, from being led by the mothers, which I think is still rightfully so how things should be. But that's again, that's my opinion. So,
I just wanted to make sure people don't confuse. I'm not saying that these were the Sumerians because the Sumerians were the warring community. I'm saying this predates the Sumerians in that
it
area.
predates, yep. Because the
I
Sumerians
also
themselves are a mixed group of people. So if anyone wants to play that game about being, they're themselves are a conglomeration of different groups
Of
which
course.
came together. So
Look, if
yes, sir.
today in the state of New York some calamity happened and the government lose any control, there would be many factions trying to take control of the city for themselves, right? And so just extrapolate this to the area of the world that was affected, and you have all these invasion people wanting what the other guys had, and that's how we had the beginning of the world that we see today.
Exactly. Pa, you had something to say. I didn't mean to cut your wisdom. You got the floor.
yeah, what wound up happening is remember when Genghis Khan went down there into Saudi Arabia and everything, and when he went back, his descendants was the ones that actually became the Muslims in China.
Well, what I found about uh, this from the area of Mongolia is that they were the workforce that we know today as the Tartarians. So, and they all worked for
Uh-oh.
this mysterious entity that was known as Preston John. For instance, there are some reports of even Alexander the Great commissioning Preston John to build a series of towers that would stop the creatures and all the,
Oh my
the
God.
cryptids coming from the land of Og and Magog and entering into the land of China. And these towers were replaced not in its entirety because the Great Wall of China is much larger, but some of the areas where the Great Wall of China was built were these towers built by these Tartarians, by this workforce from the Mongolians did. So,
Mm.
what happened was they wanted a daughter of them, of their leader, to marry Preston John. And Preston John declined that. And this was the father of Genghis Khan. So when they rejected, they decided to take over. They will no longer be his workforce. And so they exterminated him and they took control. And because of that, that's how they managed to get the power to then start invading the rest of the world because their part
Okay.
stopped to being building and serving and start to be conquering and dominating.
Yeah.
This is
Oh
speculative,
wow.
of course.
This is okay.
And that's why Walt Disney made a cartoon about it, dealing with the young lady who became a warrior.
You talking
Mulan.
Mulan?
Mulan,
Mulan.
Mulan?
yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Because when we tell about the fall of Cahokia, we speak of people coming through Asia or coming through the Bering Straits also. Um, but it's at a different time period. It's around that 900 AD, between that 1300 AD or CE Common Era. Um, so we also have stories of people leaving Asia, coming to what they considered the land of the Suks, right? The land of the snakes, as they would have called it in their language, the Nado. Uh, so we have those stories too. It's definitely ironic that we find those in other places, and I think that's why I was sent to you all, so we can build and piece together the science with his story.
In fact, the real reason for the Crusades, as the papal decree states it, was to find the land of Preston John, was not to kill the Muslims. They intend to find Preston John land because he lived among the Muslims independently, and they were losing the
Two,
trade
one. There
routes,
we
and
go.
so they needed a new way to do it. So they were trying to find. They never find it, and today is still considered as a mythological place, as a figure that never existed. But that's what is in the papal decree as the objective of the Crusades, was to find Preston John's land.
I would like to wind down. This will be our wind down time where everyone has at least 2 minutes to walk to basically lay the ground and pass the talking stick, as the elders say. So I will start at the bottom. On my screen, I'll start with you, Chris. But as you depart or as we close out, is there anything that you would like to leave with the viewers?
Well, thank you so much. I learned so much on your incredible podcast. So I just want to thank you and your friends and everyone here. Just a very special last few hours. So I will listen to the middle part. Please forgive me. Yeah, next talk, we could talk about Africans coming here in ancient times and all the books about that. And did they start in America? Is that the real old world? Or, the Igbo that Catherine Archelano wrote about, Igbo a couple million years ago coming, so love the talk about what was here first. Is this the oldest? And pertaining to Vince's story, incredible. And Lori and Mark Nicholas, just incredible researchers on the Chinese coming here to Cahokia, and it's quite a story. So we'd love to keep talking. Thank you.
Definitely. Let's see what we have. Next we have Mr. Mark and Miss Lori. Would you have anything to leave us with today?
I think about all we can say is we need several hours at another time. You can talk to Chris about that. We've got her translation alone from the 15 chapters is what, 800 or 900 pages, 1,600 footnotes. It was highly praised in Asia in 2019 when we went to the conferences and that. And after COVID hit, it's just kind of fallen off the edge of the table. But before COVID, Laurie was speaking in many different countries about her research, and it's been praised. Her translation has been praised by the head librarian at the Asian division at the Library of Congress.
Oh wow!
Retired before he passed. I had people ask me in Surabaya in 2019, how is she so good at her translating? And I said, she just, it's just a lot of work, and it takes months to do a thing. You grind it. It takes months to do a Chinese chapter that's 10 pages in Chinese. She'll spend months, and it may be several hundred when she's done in English, but it's good.
It's more like 100 pages in the unabridged, 75 with 150 footnotes in just the English version.
So for another day.
Amazing. Yes. Well, I'm on every Saturday at high noon. And I always say, those of you who understand what I'm saying, know high noon Eastern time. Miss Lori, is there anything that you would like to add?
Well, I'm currently working on a section that refers to of Luo that is earlier on, that refers to what appears to be priesthood of the flame god of the Azteca. And there is another section included with this that I believe will refer to the Inca. And that's where I'm digging. And I'll let you know what I find as I do. I know that at one point there is a reference to a city in the middle of a lake next to a volcano. And at that same time, there are references to what are clearly cacao trees because of the pods coming directly out of the branches. This chocolate, which has been found as far north in specimens of pottery that have a clear chain of provenance from the ground to the lab with no evidence of contamination. So
Okay.
the
Okay.
ancestors got around.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Most
But
definitely.
I'll have a lot to say one of these days.
No, once we get more familiar and able to build, we'll be able to speak about the Muskogee who actually lived in that Rocky Mountain area with the Aztec, right? So that'll make for a great conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you all for your time. Ricardo, do you have anything that you would like to leave us with today?
Well, I would just like to appreciate the opportunity. It was a pleasure hearing from Laurie and Mark. I want to thank everyone here. I want to thank Vince for his work and his presentation. Chris, obviously, and yourself and the others in the panel that I don't know that well. So thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Most definitely. So let's see. We got Little Deer. Deer, you have anything to say, cuz? Or anything to speak on behalf of your family? Because I know they were tuned in.
Um, no, I just gotta say thank you, Lori and Mark, for opening up, opening up a much greater and vast topic, especially with references to Cahokia about to come out from our end. Um, I'll be blessed to read your works, both books. So I can't wait to get a hold of those. Uh, I got a quick um, heckler for Vince. Would you say in DeSoto's expedition for the city of gold, would you say that he found that in Yupa'a?
Okay.
Okay.
There you go.
So yeah, you mean this ancestor shrine here that we're talking about, I think was the treasure that he was looking for in the city of gold. I mean, this was like the golden treasure, but he didn't realize it. And he just he burnt the place down and left it with pearls that were discolored and all these figurines that were charred. And he was looking for gold, but he didn't realize that he had found it, and just destroyed it. So, I mean, what's left now is nothing compared to what it used to be. But now we know it's real. It's still, it's still something that's existent, and hopefully we can learn it and appreciate from it. And I hope that this will lead to more study in the future.
Let's see. Red Crane, would you like to take us out, cuz? You got anything that you want to drop?
Yes, I'm small with it. I just
Yes,
want to
sir.
wish everybody a peace and blessings and prosperity. I thank all y'all for the information and stuff, and I want people to remember that the truth is always disguised first in misinformation, and it's disguised second in lies.
Yes, sir. Let's see. Uncle Pa, what you got for us, Pa? Talk to me.
All right. Well, by me being the arts, it actually was an oral story about a warrior that the emperor had and fought against one of our warriors, a Yama, dealing with martial
Mm-hmm.
art.
Yep.
So that's
The
how I know
tiger and the
about that.
crane.
Uh-huh. So that what, I need to write a book on that about our fighting styles in the Americas, how the Chinese actually saw that it was basically the same fighting technique of the military.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And I also like to thank those that came to your house or your panel and enjoy. And we also streamed it on our live as well on Southeastern Talking Stick that come on Sundays. So once again, I'm gonna put in the commercial. If you don't have the blue fire or the green fire, I suggest y'all go and get that, cop that. It's actually coming from traditional oral stories. and you will see who are in there. And basically, what they were speaking about today is actually in line with the book.
With the book, exactly. All of everything they're saying is in my book, and this is my first conversation with everyone except Mr. Vince. Crazy, right?
Well, thank you again, being here, and thank you everyone for had the opportunity to talk about this and share about it. Y'all, I appreciate all of you and all your talent that you have brought to the group panel here today, and just hope that we can continue this discussion and learn more and share more in the future. And thank you again for everything. I appreciate it.
Most definitely. So for the closeout, everyone, y'all know how I do it. I keep it fairly simple. So I just want to thank you all for tuning in to Wale Origins podcast. We will be on next week. So if any one of you would love the link, I have the premium. I can pull up to 10 people on the screen. You all are more than welcome. Next week, we'll be doing a bill on Cahokia, where I'll be speaking on the invasion of the Lenape and the Anishinaabe into those mounds, where the Yuchi priesthood, known as the Anikutani, was taken down by an invading people who asked for land. They said that they were promised land by their God. And when our priests stated that they had a vision, that they were living on the far East Coast, they decided that their God said they should have our land. Familiar story, huh? Sounds very familiar, right? So with that being said, I'm gonna let Cuz close us out in song. If you haven't heard it, you can stay and listen. If you have, you can drop. Outside of that, I love you all. Thank you very much. Peace.
Every day's just as sun comes up in the eastern sky, old wind blows by and by. Every day's just as wise. Every day's just as wise, wise, wise. Rooted like a tree, roots down deep. Rooted like a tree, rooted in the mystery. Rooted like a tree, roots down deep. Rooted like a tree, rooted in the mystery. Everything will change, nothing stays the same. And through it all, my roots shall remain. Everything will change, nothing stays the same. And through it all, my roots shall remain. Rooted like a tree, roots down deep. Rooted like a tree, rooted in the mystery. Rooted like a tree, roots down deep. Rooted like a tree, rooted in the mystery. Everything will change, nothing stays the same. And through it all, my roots shall remain. Everything will change. tree. Roots down deep, rooted like a tree, rooted in the mystery. Rooted like a tree. Roots down deep, rooted like a tree, rooted in the mystery. Everything will change, nothing stays the same. And through it all, my roots shall remain. Everything will change, nothing stays the same. And through it all, my roots shall remain. Everything shall remain. My roots shall remain. Roots down deep, rooted like a tree, rooted in the mystery. Rooted like a tree, roots down deep, rooted like a tree, rooted in the mystery. Everything will change, nothing stays the same. And through it all, my roots shall remain. Everything will change, nothing stays the same. And through it all, my roots shall remain. Rooted like a tree, roots down deep, rooted like a tree, rooted in the mystery. Following the sound of wings under these cedar canopies, exhaling the trees, they ring their echo to a silver stream. I turn my eyes into windows to wildflowers, white and black holes. Turn my eyes into windows to wildflowers, white and black holes. Letting it fall together. I'm letting go for once, forever. Following this map under father sky is open heart. Golden hair is spun into the lightning whisper to the stars. I turn my eyes into windows to wildflowers, white and black holes. The light meeting in my middle between two worlds. The pattern move, a pattern grows into a map. How many times I take this path, woven with the vine, walking the red road alive. Flash of white and open sky.